Good afternoon, football fans, and welcome to the return of 3 and Out, brought to you by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Let's go, baby! It's football time! Can you smell it? Can you feel it? Can you feel this energy? That's what I'm talking about, y'all. Here we go. The NFL has returned. It is time to rock and roll. Oh, yes. It has been a long time coming. But the NFL is back and ready for another season. And not just any season, but the 100th season of the NFL. I hope you're ready, y'all, because it's going to be a magical season for 3 and Out right here on IE Sports Radio. Thank you all for tuning in. Let's get down to business, shall we? Let's do this, y'all. AFC week is officially underway. AFC North starting things out with today, y'all. We have ourselves 4 guests who are ready to rock and roll. That's right, y'all. Baltimore Ravens, Pittsburgh Steelers, Cleveland Browns, and the Cincinnati Bengals. Well, who's starting things off where? Who had a good offseason? Whose offseason wasn't so great? Who's in for a tough season? And who's in for an incredibly good season? Well, or I guess we're middle of the road. We shall find out. But starting things off here, Baltimore Ravens. We talked to Mr. Chris Shizler today about his Baltimore Ravens and how tough this team is going to have it. However, how tough they also just might be. Is Lamar Jackson really their guy? Are they going to do great things this year? Will it take long for that defense to get better? We shall see. Also talking to Mr. Matt Haynes about his Pittsburgh Steelers. Oh my gosh. One of the most storied franchises in the offseason. We shall always see how strong they really are coming up. Also, KTO and his Browns, y'all. That's right, Carson the Oracle. Coming from YouTube to Spreaker to talk about his Browns and how dominant they can really be this year. And, hey, it's Captain Obvious. We'll be talking to him today about the Cincinnati Bengals. Are they a new revamped team? Are they ready to rock and roll? Will it be a tough season? We shall see. You are officially tuned in live to 3 and Out. 8 divisions in 8 days. AFC North Division right here on IE Sports Radio. Your direct feed for all that is sports. Ladies and gentlemen, football has returned. What's going on, y'all? It's me, your boy Larry, bringing it to you here on a beautiful Monday afternoon/morning. I'm over here on the West Coast, so it's 11, so hey, we got one more hour of morning. But for the rest of the country, how's it going, y'all? Happy afternoon, whatever you want to say. Good afternoon. Happy Monday to all of you right now. Today is one special day. I'll tell you that right now. We have ourselves one heck of a show to get to. 3 and Out has returned. Can we get an applause? Can we get a hand clap? Can we get some love, y'all? 3 and Out has officially returned. The Animal House has been opened. This is it, y'all. We are ready for another season of the NFL. 100 years. I am getting applause button happy, but I don't care. One more time, y'all. 100 years for the game that we all love. This is it. Season 6 here of 3 and Out, but 100 years for the NFL. Starting things off here today. It is going to be one awesome show, as I mentioned in the introduction. Oh my gosh, this is going to be awesome. Okay, so as I mentioned in the introduction, we have 4 super cool guests, 3 recorded interviews, and one of them will be a live guest later on today, Mr. Captain Obvious, and of course, as I mentioned earlier, we got Mr. Matt Hames, Mr. KTO, Carson the Oracle's in the house, y'all, from YouTube, of course, famous YouTuber, doing his thing, man. We'll talk about his followers in a little bit, and pretty much what he's been up to on YouTube. And starting us off for today, we got Mr. Chris Schisler talking some Baltimore Ravens. But yeah, I just want to start things off by saying it is great to be back. Oh my gosh, I am so freaking excited, so happy for this season. It's time to talk some football, y'all. I mean, we are just barreling down the road right now to the Hall of Fame game coming up. This year, the structure will be a little bit different. I know some of you are used to the evening shows, but, you know, excuse me. But, yeah, unfortunately, I won't be able to do this year. I am actually coaching varsity football at my old high school, Paris High in Southern California, so super excited to be coaching. So big shout out to the Panthers, y'all, for showing some love. That's right, y'all. I'm very excited for this season for these guys. Lots of young, great talent out there. So big shout out to the Paris Panthers. P-Town, you know. I just want to put that out there. But very excited for that. But I am coaching in the afternoon. So unfortunately, afternoon to evening. So unfortunately, I won't be able to be live at those times. So it's just going to be a lot of me, my colleagues, so many of them. Mr. Colin Reynolds, Mr. John Felipe, and Mr. Mike Pat will be joining me on some of these days. They might jump on with me halfway through the show or towards the end of the show when we get our big recap. I'll be reading some of their notes that they send in. I know this is kind of off timing, but it's okay. The show shall go on, all right? So that's pretty much the format for this year. For 8 divisions in 8 days, it will be it'll be this week, okay? So starting off today, as you've seen already, July 22nd, Monday, July 22nd, we're going to be going tomorrow, AFC West Day, on the 23rd. On the 24th will be AFC East Day, and finishing off AFC week will be the AFC South on July 25th. Then next week we'll be back on Monday, July 29th. Will be the start of NFC week. We'll have the NFC North. Then we have the NFC West the next day on Tuesday. Then the NFC East on July 31st. And then the day of the Hall of Fame game, earlier that day, will be the NFC South. We finish it off. Then we have the Hall of Fame game later on that day at 5 p.m. Pacific time, 8 p.m. Eastern time. The Broncos taking on the Falcons. And there we are, y'all. That's going to be it. After that will be August 7th. Will be our first actual show. It'll be the preseason, of course. But August 7th, that will be our first show all together, I'm pretty sure. Colin and John and Mike and myself. 3 o'clock p.m. Pacific time, 6 p.m. Eastern time. We'll be right in that gap, in those 3 hours. So it would be 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. if you're on the West Coast, and it'll be 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. if you're on the East Coast. And that'll be every Wednesday from August 7th all the way to the day after the Super Bowl. So it's going to be quite the show all season long. So I'm super excited, y'all. That is our time for this week on Wednesdays. So once again, 3 p.m. Pacific time, 6 p.m. Eastern to 6 p.m. Pacific time, 9 p.m. Eastern. We have an action-packed season for y'all to come. Of course, plenty of recaps from every week. You're going to hear our picks, and you're going to get 3 prop top face-offs, as I love to say every week. Of course, if you don't know what that is, well, listen to the old episodes of 3 and Out. You shall see. But really excited for all the goods there and coming up this year, and I'm just so excited for another season of 3 and Out. So with that said, y'all, we're going to get into our first team of the day, the Baltimore Ravens. Now, if you're as excited as I am for football, I know a guy that certainly was as well. That's Mr. Chris Schisler. He was super excited to talk about his Ravens, and hey, I don't blame the guy. This team is rare and ready to go. Tons of weapons on defense. They got a machine back there. It's like they always seem to have a star safety, okay? Ed Reed, the timeless Ed Reed. Then they had Eric Weddle back there for a few years, and now they went and got Earl Thomas. Weddle's going to the Rams, so that's already scary enough with him and oh my gosh, Clay Matthews. Eric Weddle and Clay Matthews in the same defense is already scary enough, all right, over there in LA. But regardless, Earl Thomas going on over to there to the, switching on over to the AFC, playing for the Ravens now. So, lots to talk about there, and plenty to talk about from the departure of Joe Flacco to a young, tough quarterback who is just, he's doing so much over there. Lamar Jackson, getting better by the day, I'm sure. But getting ready to rally his troops, getting ready to get into this season, and lots of great weapons around him. Pretty good draft. So we got lots to talk about with the Baltimore Ravens. So first team up, y'all. We have 32 teams to go. As of right now, we have 32 teams to go in 8 divisions and 8 days. Well, at the end of today's show, we will have just 28 to go. 1 division down, 7 to go after today, and so on and so on, all the way until August 1st. We're ready to rock and roll. I'm excited. I know you're excited. So, hey, y'all, let's do this. Let's go and take ourselves our first break of the day, and then we'll go ahead and get on to our first interview of the day. Myself and Mr. Chris Schisler from last Thursday will be talking some Ravens football. So, hey, first team up. First team, I guess we could say, first team up. I don't want to say, too much baseball analogy here, but hey, he's up first up to bat, Mr. Chris Schisler. And then we got Mr. Matt Hames on deck. And then KTO is in the hole, so he's up next. After that, then we finishing off, like I said, with Mr. Captain Obvious today, talking some Bengals football, and that will be it for today. Enjoy the show. So once again, y'all, you'll be hearing my recorded interview with Mr. Chris Schisler, diehard Baltimore Ravens fan, and runs a website as well, or is a big contributor to a website. We'll be talking about that as well in the interview, but enjoy, y'all. So once again, this is my recorded interview with Mr. Chris Schisler from this past Thursday. And that was, let me get the date for you. Go ahead and jump on the date. That was Thursday last week. So that would be, oh my gosh, my calendar is all over the place. Look at this. It's football time, y'all. It's a calamity everywhere. So that was Thursday, July 18th. So from this past week. So enjoy, and I'll be back after that to get you ready for the next interview, y'all. So once again, I'm excited to be back. Are you excited to be back? I know you are, football fans. With that said, enjoy the interview. We'll be right back with my exclusive interview with Mr. Chris Schisler, diehard Baltimore Ravens fan, right after this. You're listening to 3 and Out. 8 divisions in 8 days. AFC North Edition, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Drivers, start your engines. Auto racing takes many forms, from the close quarter contact of NASCAR
to the high-speed, high-risk atmosphere of IndyCar,
all the way to the pinnacle of technology with the Formula One World Championship.
No matter if you prefer the high banks of Daytona,
the concrete canyons of Long Beach,
or the flowing curves of the Nürburgring,
the international language of motorsports is simple. Go fast,
run hard,
and come home first.
So join us, myself, Darrell Kinsey Jr.,
Lolita Camello,
and Michael Ward,
on a world tour of all the best motorsports has to offer on the Extra Mile, Thursdays at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific, only on your home for all that is sports, IE Sports Radio.
Hey, podcast fans, if you are looking for a show dedicated to actually getting your podcast going, if you are looking forward to getting your own podcast going in the future and looking for a great start, then look no further. Mr. Carson Jones is without a doubt one of the, seriously, you can almost guess this guy is a pioneer of doing this. Certainly, great show, great podcast. Check him out. Apple Podcasts and anywhere else you can find podcasts. Mr. Carson Jones. Look it up on, of course, wherever you find your podcasts. Giant Voices. He gives you his story of how he became quite the podcaster, and now how he markets them and gets them out there. Little things, simple things from good introductions, simple small things from a catchy title name, all kinds of different aspects of getting your podcast going. He has got it for you. So trust me, you want to learn how to get your podcast going. You want to learn how to get it going in the right direction. Anything from the right software to get your the right hardware as well, to get things going, to the right platform for you. Go ahead and check it out. Available, once again, on Apple Podcasts and anywhere else podcasts are available. Check out Mr. Carson Jones and his podcast, Giant Voices. Get your voice out there and get ready to start the show.
Hey, what's up, sports fans? You're looking for a different type of sports talk show, something you haven't heard before? You gotta check out the BS3 Sports Show every other Saturday on 2 Live Stews Radio, 1 p.m. Central Time, 2 p.m. Eastern. Sports talk at its finest. Always have great guests, playing some good hip-hop. You don't want to miss it. Make sure to tune in to the BS3 Sports Show every other Saturday at 1 p.m. Central Time, 2 p.m. Eastern.
Welcome back, football fans. Well, as mentioned in the introduction, we're going to start things off this year with the Dirty Birds. That's right, y'all. As I mentioned in the introduction today, we are going to jump through the entire AFC North as it is officially AFC Week. So excited. 3 and out, 8 divisions in 8 days is officially underway. And we have a great show for you here. First things first, as I mentioned, this is just such an amazing thing we have going. I mean, thank you to all the listeners out there. I mean, lots of stuff you already heard in the introduction, but I just wanted to say it again. This interview was actually recorded on Thursday, July 18th, so it's a few days old. However, we're not into camp just yet, even on Monday, okay, on the 22nd. But we had to work a time to record the interview for this segment, and you know what? I'm really excited to start things off here. Why? Because we're kind of turning a new leaf in the Ravens organization. The Ravens, of course, had to say goodbye to lots of unique talents that, I mean, seriously, I thought guys like, of course, Ray Lewis was there forever. So was Ed Reed. But there are guys, well, one guy in particular, like Terrell Suggs, who I didn't ever think I would see in another uniform but the purple and black or purple and white, depending on what their uniform was. But I'll tell you something. This team has really... there's just so many question marks. At the same exact time, there's so many certainties, I feel. So a very interesting team this year in the AFC, and certainly I would like to say not the dark horse. I feel like that's more of the Browns, but still the team that has so many questions. It looks like the Joker from Batman owns the team right now with all these question marks all over it. But I gotta tell you right now, ladies and gentlemen, very excited for our first interview here of the day and the first interview of 8 divisions in 8 days. So after the segment is over, we'll have one team down, 31 to go. So let's go ahead and jump right on into it. Ladies and gentlemen, welcoming up first, he is a site expert at ebonybird.com. Super diehard Ravens fan. I asked him to be on the show. He jumped all over it. First timer here on the show, and I'm hoping to have him back many times, especially throughout the season for primetime face-offs and just talking some Ravens football. Ladies and gentlemen, welcoming Mr. Chris Schisler. What's going on, Chris? How you doing today, man?
Hey, it's good. Just getting going here. Talk some football.
I'm all for it, man. So yeah, there you go, y'all. Just the way you would think a Ravens fan would be, right? Let's get to some football, and that's the way the Ravens always play. Defense all day long. I'm loving it. So first things first, Mr. Chris. I mean, last year? First things first. The Ravens. Last year was just the Ravens seem to have had another one of those years. And what I mean by that is it was a season to remember and to forget in a couple of ways. You guys won some actually pretty good games, then you lost some games where we were thinking, or at least myself was thinking, well, how did
How did they lose? How did they beat this team and lose to that team? So last year, you guys would, of course, finish first in the AFC North. Pretty darn good, okay? But some big time question marks that I mentioned, when it comes to, certain losses and everything. And once again, we'll get to all of that, and I'll go ahead and, specify those as we continue to go. Or as we get through here. But as of right now, okay, I just had to look it up here. But last year was quite the dogfight in the AFC North. As I always say, in the AFC North, you got to play defense on offense in order to play in the AFC North, because that's just how nasty the AFC North is. Okay, I love it every year. Well, if the AFC wins, we always start off with the AFC. In the Super Bowl, if the NFC wins, we started that last year. We started off with the NFC, but this year the AFC won it. Patriots won it, so we're starting back on the AFC. And I love starting off with the AFC North every year because this is just one nasty division. Last year, you guys, I think it was 2 years ago, the Bengals would keep you guys out of the playoffs on the last play of the game. You guys were the last. I mean, I could remember that. And then, if I'm not mistaken, you correct me if I'm wrong. And then last year, you guys went ahead and took the whole division. Of course, Lamar Jackson, young quarterback, getting in there, playing some good football out of Louisville, looking pretty sharp. And then, the Steelers. So you guys were at 10-6. The Steelers were right behind you at 9-6-1. Okay, looking courtesy of NFL.com. Then we have the Browns at 7-8-1, who are really catching, and then the Bengals, who have just kind of had their time at the top, and they've kind of just sunk like a stone right now at 6-10 from last year. But once again, we'll find out, where their fan thinks they'll be and everything this year. But from last year, 10-6. Okay, so we'll get to the playoffs in a moment, but I want you to kind of just jump into the regular season. What did you personally feel about this regular season? What were the feelings kind of throughout the year? Maybe if you want to, I don't know if you want to go week by week or maybe just a couple weeks at a time, or where you were at the beginning, mid, and the end, of the season or whatever. But so we're going to head on over to you, Mr. Chris. What were your thoughts on the Ravens season last year and the regular season as a whole?
Well, it was a tale of two seasons. You had the Joe Flacco season, and you had the Lamar Jackson season. When Joe Flacco was the quarterback, we couldn't run the football. We were throwing it 35 to 50 times a game, and we were trying to win a completely different way. We went 4-5, and it looked like the season was over. When we lose to Pittsburgh, we go into the bye week, and we're thinking, okay, there's nothing here. This is a bad year. We're going to miss the playoffs again for a third straight year. And then Lamar Jackson gets inserted in the lineup with Joe Flacco has a back injury, and everything changed. We ran the ball pretty much better than anyone in the league, and Jackson stepped up to the moment. And it was really a rebirth for defensive dominance in Baltimore. I think people forget that Dean Pease kind of let that defense go, and it was good, but it wasn't as good, and it wasn't as good as Ravens' defense is supposed to be, and you didn't see the late game collapses that Dean Pease had with Don Martindale as the defensive coordinator. So to have a number one defense in the National Football League, win the division, and have hope of a young quarterback, that's the takeaways. But the first half of the season was just so up and down that it was a complete rebirth. We looked the past in the eyes and we said, we're moving on.
I like how you said that, okay? So now Lamar Jackson officially started, I believe it was week... Let's see, where was it at? I want to try and find it.
It was week 11 against the Cincinnati Bengals.
Week 11. See, and here's one thing is, one of our colleagues here at IE Sports Radio does the Soccer Scoreboard show, Soccer Fan, gigantic diehard Ravens fan. And, he's in our tweet groups every Sunday. I'll tell you about those in a little bit. If you'd like to join us on Sundays, it'd be awesome to have you. If not, totally understand. But he's somebody who in our Twitter group every Wednesday, every Sunday or whenever the Ravens play, he was the first guy to be like, bench Flacco. Like, bench Flacco. Like, this guy, like, it was funny how, like, he was, like, rooting for him to just be bang. And then finally it happened, and you guys started playing really well, and he was kind of like, I told you so the entire time. Now, that's just one Ravens fan's perspective. But give me your thoughts, Chris. Were you really on the train, on the get Flacco out of there train and put in the new youngster? Or were you the guy that was faithful to Flacco and that was like, you know what, let's just stick with who we got and he can get us there like he did in 2012/2013? What were your thoughts?
Well, I was conflicted on this because I beat the drum for Joe for years. He was a very underappreciated quarterback for us, franchise quarterback best we ever had. But I'm also a guy who called the shot. I said before the draft we need to draft Lamar Jackson. I wrote articles about how the Ravens need to draft Lamar Jackson. When they drafted him, I was very excited for the Baltimore Ravens, and I wanted Jackson to get in there eventually. 4-5, you think this season is kind of on the way down. And luckily for Baltimore, it wasn't a choice. Flacco is already going to play. And if you're not going to put Robert Griffin III in there, you're going to try to win with your rookie quarterback that you drafted in the first round. So luckily for Baltimore, it wasn't a choice. It became a choice when Flacco got healthy. But the Ravens at that time were on a roll. Lamar Jackson's the future. If Lamar Jackson's the future and you were able to win games with him, you went 6-1 with him in the regular season. So if you can go 6-1 in the regular season with him, that's not a question. So, yeah, I was ready for a new thing. I think a lot of fans were. But that doesn't mean you don't love Joe Flacco and appreciate that he was a great quarterback for us for 11 years. Well, great's a strong word, but he had some really great moments. So, it's a bit of, you're sad for Flacco and happy for Jackson. You're happy for the team one way or the other.
Absolutely. And, that's how I feel, too. When there is somebody who just, it happens. It happens. Sometimes guys just, it happens. Sometimes a change of scenery is what's needed. Sometimes, who knows? But you don't turn, in my opinion, you don't necessarily turn your back on the guys who've gotten there before. That's like right now, that would be like Eli Manning with the Giants in a sense. Hey, it happens. We all know it happens. Guys move on. Guys just get, older and everything happens. You're not the same you were in your 20s and you were in your late 30s, or your 20s or in your early 30s, the way you are in your late 30s. We know that's what happens, okay? But looking here, courtesy of NFL.com, look at this. 4 and 3 and 4. That was actually 4 and 5 in the first 9 games. Okay, you were 4 and 5 before the bye week. In Jackson's first start, you guys win it 24-21 over the Bengals in Week 11 at home, and it just goes from there. You guys win 2 straight. You guys lose the only game to the Chiefs, which was a very close game, 27-24.
And we lost in overtime.
And that was in overtime, and then you realize that was incredible. You guys played in a very close game there, and then you guys do it. You guys did a big one at home versus the Bucs. A nice game there, 20-12 in Week 15. Week 16, I remember this game. You guys were on the road over here in L.A. You guys had a nice victory over the Chargers. I don't know. I couldn't tell you what happened in the playoffs. I thought it was going to be a repeat. Anyway, 22-10, you guys win in StubHub. And then you go back home, take on the Browns, win that one 26-24 in Week 17. You guys finish on the other side of the bye week at 6-1 with that young rookie starting Lamar Jackson. The defense looked to have been on. You guys played the only game you guys lost, incredible, in overtime by 3 points to a Chiefs team who really had every bit of potential to go to the bowl. Of course, the Pats being the tougher team, but it's a different story. And AFC West is tomorrow, and AFC East is on Wednesday. So, just saying, what a very great run for this youngster. And then we get into the playoffs, and first things first, a young rookie quarterback. With 7 games under his belt, at 6-1, going into the playoffs, you think, okay, well, he looks pretty good, but postseason, it's different. It's a different animal. This is the most elite game of football we have, and now you're down to the final 12 teams. This can get kind of scary. So, you guys, of course, host the Chargers Game 1 of the playoffs in the wild card, and that Chargers team that you guys beat just weeks ago, 22-10 in their house in StubHub in Los Angeles. They come on over to M&T Bank Stadium. It was a great game, but you guys would drop this one by just 6 points, 23-17, finishing with an overall 10-7 record, and that would be about it. So walk us through that game if you can. I mean, give us your thoughts. What the heck happened? What did the Chargers do this time they didn't do last time? What did you guys do last time that you didn't do this time?
All right, so the reason the Ravens lost is very simple. They went in with the exact same offensive game plan. Marty Morningwig basically said it. He didn't really change anything from the last game. You do anything twice in the NFL, someone's going to catch on. The Chargers had speed on defense. They focused on taking Lamar Jackson out of the running game, and I mean it was pretty simple. We just had a horribly, unbelievably uninspired offensive game plan, and it wasted a great defensive performance. I mean, we throttled the Chargers' offense all game long. The offense gave the defense no help whatsoever, and it was a game, and Lamar Jackson, they took the handcuffs off, told him to go get it, and he almost did. He had 2 drives in the fourth quarter, looked pretty magical. Throw to Kenneth Dixon was just unbelievable, deep down the field. I mean, Jackson, when he's playing free and back against the wall, that was impressive. A lot of rookies would not have been able to keep it together because he was having a horrible day. Everything was going wrong. Jackson had probably one of the worst games you'll ever see a quarterback play, and he got it together, and they had a chance at the end, and that speaks volumes of the team. The team has a lot of fight, and Jackson has a lot of poise and composure as a young quarterback. So, it's frustrating because Marty Morningwig should never have had a job in the NFL. Maybe not that, but offensive coordinator. I have such a visceral reaction when I think about that game because they literally trotted out, ran the same plays, did the same things, showed the same looks. They did it. They didn't change. And the worst part about that game was Harbaugh let it happen. John Harbaugh let Marty Morningwig do the laziest game planning of all time. And that's why the Chargers beat us. They had the athletes on defense to do it. They've seen it before, and they did it.
And speaking, me as a Raider fan, knowing the Chargers pretty well over the years, this is a very good Charger team this year. My gosh, last year, if there was ever a year that they were going to make a deep run, it was last year. Maybe this year they'll make another one, but it's a pretty good Charger team with a very good veteran quarterback and Phillip Rivers. And, like I said, like I mentioned earlier, you guys had them pegged. But to think you guys came in with the same exact offensive, game plan, and to just, you guys just it felt like you just laid an egg at home, and it sucks because it sucks to hear that. And I'm not saying anything bad about the Chargers. Hey, they earned it. A win's a win. But my gosh, to think it was a 12-point victory just a few days.
It was a bad day. It was a horrible day. I was at the game, and it was ugly. Half the crowd was chanting for Flacco to come into the game. It was an ugly day of Ravens football. But the moral of the story is, we got some hope going to the future. We got a lot of young offensive talent now. We have a core of defensive talent that's pretty impressive. So we got a lot of hope, but that playoff game, that was brutal.
It was tough to see you guys just kind of fall apart. Overall, it was a rough game. I thought, once again, yes, part of me being like, haha, Chargers lose, because it's a rival game, whatever, it's a rival of mine. My team, of course, is home flipping burgers at that time, my lovely Raiders. But speaking of, in the sense of just being a football fan, my gosh, the Chargers came with their game plan, ready to rock and roll, and you guys had it wasn't a bad game. You guys,
the defense did its job, and nothing else did.
Yeah, absolutely. And I agree. The defense came to work, and you're right. The offense was just, it was awful. Absolutely awful. So, speaking of all of that, it's, so, okay, so let's go ahead and move on here. I got a little bit of time left. Let's go ahead and jump on into this one question here from Mr. Mike Pat, of course, my colleagues here at IE Sports Radio on 3 and Out, part of the 3 and Out team. And his one question is kind of funny because you guys apparently have an abundance of corners. So, Mr. Mike Pat's question, his question is pretty funny. As I read to you already before we jumped on air or on, to record, it's this Ravens team has a lot of cornerbacks. There are 10 guys who I could see making an NFL roster. How do you think this position group will play out?
Well, you got Marlon Humphrey, Jimmy Smith, Brandon Carr, and Javon Young, who are all starters anywhere else in the National Football League. Marlon Humphrey is going to be a top 5 corner. This is the best kept secret in football. Marlon Humphrey is great. I've never seen a corner who's better at dislodging the football after it looks like a short catch for the receiver. His technique is great. He plays without penalties. Very rarely does he get a penalty. He's just unbelievable. I mean, he could put on a clinic. Jimmy Smith is very good, and at times he honestly is an elite corner. Brandon Carr never missed a game in his career and is still as solid as ever. Javon Young, one of the best slot corners. So those are the core guys. But then you got Anthony Averett coming up, young player, second year out of Alabama. We just drafted Iman Marshall, who should be a lock to make the team. But, our corner situation, we've never had more talent. And here's the thing. Our safety positions are the same way. People outside of Baltimore might not know that Anthony Levine Sr., Chuck Clark, these guys are studs at the strong safety position. That Levine kind of is a guy you put in a sub package. He's almost like an extra linebacker. He does a bit of everything. So we have so much secondary help. It's not just corner. Corners, we're probably going to keep 7 corners because like you said, we have 10 players, maybe even 11 that could really be on the roster. So we're going to keep 7, and the talent that doesn't make the team, still pretty good.
Absolutely. I mean, you guys have a very tough
the best secondary in football.
It really is. You guys have a remarkable secondary. I didn't even know that until I read Mike Pat's question. You guys have a very deep secondary, and we shall see, But good question there from Mr. Mike Pat. But, okay, so moving on, I want to ask a little bit about your draft. Now, you guys look here courtesy of BaltimoreRavens.com with a draft tracker. I used to go over the draft real fast. We have Marquise Brown, wide receiver out of Alabama. Okay? Out of Oklahoma. Amazing receiver. This year he showed how to, because I'm a college guy all day long. I love the NFL, but college is just where I'm at. Incredibly good hands. He was one of the best, absolute best receivers in college football. Played pretty darn well. No shock you guys would take him with the 25th pick if he was still there. Then, I don't know if you guys forked over your second, forgot what happened there, but in the 3rd round, you guys pick up Jalen Ferguson, outside linebacker out of La Tech. Okay, big boy, 6'5", 275. Pretty good player there. Then, with the, let's see here. So, in the 3rd round, with the 30th pick, you guys pick up Miles Boykin, receiver, another receiver out of Notre Dame. Not too bad receiver. He fell kind of far, but he fell right to you guys, which is pretty darn good. Then you guys go pick up a guy by the name of Justice Hill. I know a little bit about this guy because Oklahoma State, they were kind of up and down last year, but my gosh, if you didn't know who Justice Hill was, he was a pretty good running back, out of Oklahoma State. Smaller guy, 5'10", actually about good size for a running back, 200-pound running back, and very, pretty good over there playing, in Stillwater. Very good player, very attentive, very, seems to catch on. Good player. And then you have a guard, okay, and Ben Powers at Oklahoma with the 21st pick. In the 4th round, by the way, that was in the 4th round when Justice Hill got picked. Then we move on to the later on in that round. You got a guy that I thought was very impressive in the Senior Bowl. He's also one of my guys. Okay, I'm going to say it like that because I'm a big SC fan, and that's Eamon Lewis Marshall. He is a big boy. Oh, sorry, he is a corner, another corner. Okay, we added that very deep secondary. out of USC at 6'1", 210 pounds. Pretty good dude here. Good guy to pick up. Then you go to the 5th round. You have Dalen Mack, defensive tackle out of Texas A&M. Gig'em. Texas A&M, of course, very deep in their defense. Didn't know much about him, but I do see a good pickup there. Then you guys go and pick up another. It's like it's a trend in Baltimore right now. You guys got RG3 back there, okay? And then you guys have, of course, Lamar Jackson, the starter behind center. Then you go pick up a guy that's just like the two in Trace McSorley, quarterback in the 6th round. Okay, you pick him up out of Penn State, 6 foot, 202 pounds. I did not think he was going to fall that far, and that is the end of your guys' draft. So, first things first, overall, I forgot the grade I gave you guys, but during our draft, I got to start writing these down for like next year, but my gosh, pretty decent draft. So, we've got a whole bunch of time, but go ahead, Chris, give us a little bit of your thoughts on the draft.
I think they knocked it out of the park. I would have rather had N'Keal Harry than Marquise Brown, but I mean, Marquise Brown has the potential to be one of the best receivers in football. He's undersized, but he's faster than anybody on the offense, maybe even including Lamar Jackson. And when you look at him, a lot of people compare him to Deshaun Jackson. He's a bit of that undersized, speedy guy, but honestly, he could be the next Antonio Brown. He's got potential through the roof. Drafting receivers in Baltimore, always and never thing, but to get Miles Boykin in the 3rd round, look, Ozzie Newsome drafted almost no receivers in the first and 3rd round. I think he only took a couple stabs out of in the first 3 rounds. You had Mark Clayton, Travis Taylor, and Rashad Perryman were the only first-round picks that Newsom took. Derek DeCosta, in his first draft, drafts the receiver in the 1st and 3rd round. Boykin is a guy who's underrated as all get out. He actually was steal for us. You look at Boykin as a big-bodied guy who still has pretty darn good speed. He can high-point the football. He can use his big physical body. He's almost like an extra tight end, but he's got receiver speed. So that Boykin was a huge pickup for us. Justice Hill has a chance to be an X factor in this offense because he has home run hitting speed. And so speed is the main takeaway. Ben Powers hopefully can be a starter right away at left guard. This draft was fantastic, out of the park for Eric DeCosta. I have very few reservations. I hated the Trace McSorley pick, but, what you going to do? It's not that big of a deal. It's a 6th-round pick. He's going to be a gadget quarterback. Might even end up switching positions. I mean, this is a guy who can line up a receiver. He can play defensive back. He's a great athlete. I think they just drafted him for that. It kind of reminds me of when we took Keenan Reynolds in the 6th round and, late in the draft. And, when Keenan Reynolds was the Navy quarterback, he just didn't make the team. I liked the draft. I thought it was a really strong draft. Jalen Ferguson, by the way, I don't think I mentioned him. He broke Terrell Suggs' sack record. So Jalen Ferguson, coming out of Louisiana Tech, he's an unbelievable athlete, and I think he's going to have potential to be a difference maker as a rookie. He's a dark horse defensive rookie of the year if I've ever seen one.
Certainly, you guys. Jalen Ferguson looks like a very promising linebacker and very, very, very good skill, great speed overall from my remember from the combine. But okay, so let's go move on to free agency really quick. This is courtesy of BaltimoreRavens.com once again. You guys would acquire for 1 year a guy from my team, Seth Roberts, for 1 year. Did pretty good in Oakland. Well, guess what? He's over there now catching balls from Lamar Jackson. You will sign RG3, Robert Griffin III, for 2 years. Let's see.
We re-signed Robert Griffin III. We signed Earl Thomas.
Yes. Now,
and Mark Ingram.
Earl Thomas, let's just get there. I mean, seriously, it seems like you guys always seem to have a star safety, like literally a huge name back there, okay? You guys had Ed Reed back there for years. Then you went and got the monster that is Eric Weddle, and now that he's a Ram, which is just extremely scary with him and Clay Matthews in the same exact defense, you guys went ahead and picked up a guy who clearly didn't want to be in Seattle anymore and has made his way all the way to the East Coast to be yet another Mr. Thumper back there, back there in the secondary of Baltimore. So first things first, your thoughts on signing Earl Thomas?
Thomas was a surprising signing. I didn't think we were going to get him. I didn't even think we were trying to get him, and we got him. DaCosta swung for the fences there. Keep the baseball metaphors going today. It seems to be a thing. But Thomas gives us more range in the back end of our defense. He's a true ball hawk, closest thing we've had to Ed Reed since Ed Reed. So it's a real advantage that we have, Thomas. I think that completes the most complete secondary in football. Weddle had lost the step and was a bit low. And Weddle, as much as I loved him, just the production wasn't there from the free safety position. And so we got better. And we got better with Earl Thomas. And I think this defense, people forget that, people are like, oh, Terrell Suggs is gone. Yeah, well, if Jalen Ferguson's all right, we're going to get this. If Shane Ray ends up being a stud, he's a guy that could have a resurgence. Matthew John's a good outside linebacker. I think our pass rush will be good enough. I think it might even be better than we think. And people are like, oh, you lost C.J. Mosley. Well, Patrick Onwuasor is a stud, and he's come up from being an undrafted free agent in the last 3 years. He's been a core part of the defense. Now he's being asked to replace Mosley, and I think he can do it. Kenny Young playing next to him. There's a lot of speed on defense for Win Farmdale. So Earl Thomas really completed the defense, and I think if you get enough pass rush, you're going to see the best secondary in football dominate teams in the NFL.
I can totally see that. So, like I said, got a few minutes, kind of short on time a little bit, but it's okay. I want to go ahead and get your thoughts really fast. Of course, Ingram being a big signing as well. What can he bring to the team? And then kind of get to, it sucks, for CJ Mosley, but also Ball So Hard University, man. T-Sizzle, Terrell Suggs is wearing a Cardinals uniform. That is just crazy. And, of course, another big departure, one more, would be, of course, Joe Flacco. So your thoughts on those couple of guys departing from the team, and of course, also on Ingram joining the team.
So Ingram is going to put up some big numbers. I think he'll pair nicely with Gus Edwards. I think the running back by committee situation in Baltimore is very strong, which I think will favor Mark Ingram. I think he's obviously going to get a lot of touches in his offense, but Ingram's a guy who catches the ball out of the backfield really well. And that's going to help a young quarterback of Lamar Jackson. You're going to get a lot of dump down passes, a lot of screens. Ingram's going to be the workhorse of this offense. I think Ingram's going to be the best running back in the AFC North. I actually think he has the best year of his career here in Baltimore. I think this will be a strong finish for Ingram's career, his run with the Ravens. I'm very high on that signing. Flacco, we've kind of said it. There's nothing Flacco can do to prevent me from loving him. So I'm rooting for him, but at the same time, very excited to have Jackson. We knew Flacco wasn't going to be there, so to get something for him in the trade, that'll do. And Suggs, my heart literally ripped out and then came back into my body. Get rid of Suggs, that's a killer, but it's going to happen eventually, and he was, fading off the back ends of the season, and it's definitely a huge loss. We lost a leader and a great outside linebacker, but it's not the end of the world as much as it feels like.
All right, well, that makes good. Okay, that works for me. Okay, now, I got a few minutes here, and I just this is the section right here where I'm going to call it Stick It To 'em for the rest of the 8 divisions in 8 days, because this is where you can predict yours as well. You don't have to if you don't want to, of course. Some people are superstitious and everything. You don't want to change their team, but go ahead and let us know how you think your guys are going to do this year, and then be honest. You can either be really nice or you can be really nasty and stick it to them and let us know what you think about the rest of the division and how they're going to do this year and where you see everybody panning out.
All right.
Let's do it.
Let's do this. All right, so 10-6 for the Ravens. I think they have a really tough schedule. I think the division is going to beat each other up. But I think the Ravens have the best secondary in football, a good running game. I think Lamar Jackson is a lot better than you think he is. And because of that, because Lamar Jackson is going to have a good second year, and the defense is going to be a lot more dominant than anyone's going to give it credit for. Everyone's like, oh, no, you won't see Mosley at the end of the world this year. No, we're going to have the number one defense, top 10 defense in the league for sure. And we're going to go 10-6 behind the defense and the running game. That's just going to, the formula just works so nicely. I think if Jackson takes strides with Greg Roman's offense, I'm very excited. Let's see. The Browns, I think, look, you got star power, but you're also going to have a lot of drama. I think you got some drama in Cleveland that's just ready to brew. A lot of alpha males, a lot of guys who run the mouth. Baker Mayfield, Odell Beckham, Jarvis Landry, first-time head coach. There's a lot of star power, a lot of alpha males. I think you're going to get drama in Cleveland. They're too good of a roster to be bad. So I think they're 7-9, 8-8. I could see 9-7. Pittsburgh, I think they're just as good as Cleveland. I think you got a Hall of Fame quarterback in Ben Roethlisberger. You can't count them out. I think their defense is going to be a little bit better this year. Their offense might not be as explosive, but you got Ben. You're going to put up some points. You're going to put up some numbers. So give me the Steelers at 9-7, the Browns at 8-8, the Bengals. Let's give them a 6-10 season, but they have hope brewing with a new organization, basically. Marvin Lewis is not there for the first time in 15 years. And give me the Ravens at 10-6 with the division championship for a second year running.
I like it. All right. Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, Chris Schisler. I love it, man. Side expertise over here at Ebony Bird. So with that said, man, we got to fix a few minutes here. I want to make sure to give you your. I want to make sure you give your thoughts here. So go ahead and go. I mean, sorry, you already gave us your thoughts. Now go ahead, man. You plugged the entire division. You pretty much gave where you thought everybody was going to be. Now let's go ahead and you plug whatever you want to plug, man. You've run the site, or you're on the fan side, of course. It's a fan site, so you manage it and everything. So go ahead, let everybody know. All these Ravens fans out there, man. This is Ravens Flock listening to you right now. Let everybody know. Speak to your team's fan base. What do they got? So, where can they find you?
So ebonybird.com is the best place to find my work because we post stuff every day. ebonybird.com for sure. You can follow me at Twitter at FootballRain58. Follow Ebony Bird on Twitter at Ebony_Bird. And on Facebook, we are Baltimore Ravens fans. So that's really all I have to plug. I'm very excited about what we're doing at Ebony Bird. If you're a Ravens fan, that's where you need to be.
I'm all with it. I mean, you guys are definitely a very awesome group of fans. The Ravens, man, Ravens Flock, you guys are down. You guys, one of the most awesome fan bases out there. You guys live and die with your team, and I love it, man. So I know a good number of Ravens fans, and I mean the faithful is just out there. So it has been great, and I appreciate you so much making time, on this Thursday evening. Once again, this is recorded on Thursday, July 18th, so just a few days ago. Of course, this is Monday, July 22nd. But great stuff. I mean, seriously, you got me all hyped up to watch some Ravens football this year. I mean, we went through the highs with gaining guys like Ingram and the really, pretty dang good draft. Let me say, knocked out the park. Then you went into, your heart being ripped out of your body and put back in, and T-Sizzle, Terrell Suggs is gone. When he was, he wasn't traded. He was released, wasn't he?
No, he was a free agent. And he signed with the Cardinals.
That's right. Okay, so
the Ravens tried to sign him, and I personally think Eric DeCosta took him for granted. I thought he was like, oh, well, he'll come back. But remember, Suggs is going home. Suggs is going to Arizona. He's from Arizona State. that's home for him. So
He's a Sun Devil. So, well, with that said, once again, Mr. Chris Shizzler, everybody, this guy is the real deal. Awesome to have you. Once again, thank you very much, Mr. Chris. And one real quick, where can these? Did you go ahead and throw your Twitter handle in there?
yeah, at Football 58.
There you go, y'all. Football Man 58. Make sure you give him a follow, Ravens Flock. Show him some love. Great stuff as always. This guy's the real deal, man. Looking forward to checking out the site. Looking forward to, getting, tweeting with you this year, man. If you're up for it, I mean, hey, man, great stuff. And appreciate your time. Thank you so very much, Mr. Chris. And you have a wonderful week. Take care, man. God bless you and your family. And, hey, man, look to have you back on the show very soon.
Cool deal. Thanks.
No problem. Take care.
All right.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was Mr. Chris Shizzler. Once again, let's go ahead and give him the applause. Awesome job there. All right, y'all. That was pretty cool. First one of the year. Gotta love it. Some Ravens football. Well, when we get back, we're going to go ahead and jump on into the second team of the AFC North. Who's it going to be? It's a surprise, but we'll go ahead and jump on into that when we get back, y'all. Once again, you are listening to 3 and Out, 8 divisions in 8 days. How we do a season premiere here on IE Sports Radio, or a 3 and Out season premiere. We do 8 of them, y'all. 8 divisions in 8 days right here on IE Sports Radio. AFC Week kicks off today. It is AFC Week right now. AFC North. We'll catch you on the other side of this break. Once again, this is your boy Larry B. Bringing it to you live. We'll see you in the next segment right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Ladies and gentlemen, hear me and hear me good. If you like sports, then you like the Wait a Minute Show. If you like comedy, then you like the Wait a Minute Show. If you like a different opinion coming from a different angle, then you like the Wait a Minute Show. So join me Saturday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with your host, Jelani J.B. Bodie. And of course, my man Lopan on the WaitAMinuteShow.com. Ain't that right, Lopan?
Hey, what's up, BS3 sports fans? If you love listening to the BS3 Sports Show, check out the weekend wrap-up every Monday at 12:15 Central Time, 1:15 Eastern, recapping the weekend in sports like you never heard it before. Comedy, interactive chat room, it's a must-listen. Weekend wrap-up on Spreaker.com, part of the X Squad. Check it out. You won't be disappointed.
Good day, folks. Yours truly, Nico Green here, reminding you, tune in to the Neutral Zone Hockey Talk Radio Show, Tuesdays, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 Eastern, proudly brought to you by IE Sports Radio. It's the Neutral Zone. All hockey, all the time. Take care. See you soon.
Hi, I'm Phil Robinson, running point, setting up Phil Jones for the finish. Join us every Wednesday, 5 p.m. Pacific Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, as we break down the week in basketball on the home for Real Talk Sports Radio, IESportsRadio.com.
That's right, y'all. IESportsRadio.com. Check it out. Go show us some love. Get up on there. Join our messenger board, our newsletter. Sign up, part of IESportsRadio.com. Awesome website. We love it. Of course, started up by Wix, so it's a Wix website, but it's a super cool website. You can join our messenger, catch all of our podcasts on there, check out our latest blogs. I got to put up the newest one. Mr. Mike Pat, of course, our chief editor of the iSports Radio blog, has posted up a new one, so I gotta get that one up there soon. But check that one out. Super great stuff as always, and you can become a part of the forum. I'm going to start making team forums in there so you can jump in there and rep your team and talk and have some fun, kind of like these guys are right now. I'm loving the Twitter, by the way, right now. We got some funny tweets going on at the moment, so big ups to Mr. Matt Hames tuning in from Utah. He's our next interview coming up in just a few minutes here, but he says Ingram the best back in the NFL, in the AFC North. LOL. It's freaking hilarious. And good old Captain Obvious here says, I second that. So, LOL. Sorry. So, yeah, funny stuff. You guys are cracking me up, but that was Mr. Chris Schisler once again of EbonyBird.com. I think he's the moderator of that, so big ups there to Mr. Chris Schisler. Once again, you can catch him on Twitter at footballman58. So once again, big shout out to him. And his website, well, I think he said he's the overseer or the moderator or somebody who helps run the website or contributes to EbonyBird.com. So awesome stuff there. And next up, well, so there you go. So you officially heard it. He feels, this team is pretty strong. I have expressed how well I think this team was put together. They look decent. Can they compete for that top spot? I think it's very realistic. So, hopefully you're enjoying the show. I know I definitely am, y'all. We are back here, 3 and out, 8 divisions in 8 days. AFC week has officially kicked off, and it is AFC North Day here. So, coming up next, as I mentioned, we have quite the interview with Mr. Matt Hames talking some Steelers football. And this is always fun because the Steelers are just a different story in a different book. This was a fun one. Matt is extremely knowledgeable, loves his team, and man, did he gave the 4-1-1 all day long with his team right now. And hey, we're heading in training camp this week, so certainly going to be a lot of fun, throughout the next 2 weeks talking about all these teams. So we have one team down, 31 to go, but nevertheless, we are on to the next team coming up next, y'all. So, with that said, stick around here, and a big shout, by the way, to my sponsor for this week. Of course, as I mentioned earlier, Giant Voices. If you love podcasting, if you would like to get into podcasting yourself, go check out the Giant Voices podcast. Mr. Carson Jones does it right, man. He does such a really good job giving you a really good realistic look at how to podcast and how to gain followers, also how to mess up and lose them. Well, not really mess up and lose them, but he kind of gives you some things to stay away from, some small things that you're probably maybe doing if you already started one, don't have that many followers, or to get you going, some cool things to do. So, to get it going. So make sure you show Mr. Carson Jones some love. You can also follow him on Instagram. He is also on there. I've been listening to his show the last couple of days, and hey, getting some tips for our podcast too. So, he is, of course, at Carson Jones. That's Jones with 2 S's at the end, so go give him a follow. And once again, check out the Giant Voices podcast. Also, another big shout to another one of my sponsors. She's awesome. Beauty and the Bolts, y'all. Gotta show some love to Miss Stephanie, man. She's super cool. Steffi is the real deal. I went to my first Raider game last year with her. She's a diehard Chargers fan. Go show her some love. Type in Beauty and the Bolts on YouTube as well. Yeah, she is on YouTube. Big YouTuber. Gigantic fan of the Chargers. This woman went everywhere with them last year. I think she went to all, but her and the Bolts family went all over the place. They even followed them to England last year to watch them take on the Titans. So really cool stuff. She vlogs a lot, so really cool stuff on there. Of course, she does a lot of beauty stuff. So ladies listening out there, she does a lot of cosmetic stuff. So go check her out, Beauty and the Bolts, and show her some love. She's super cool. I've retweeted a lot of her stuff on her football stuff. I'm gonna be putting up another about no makeup. Just kidding. But yeah, Stephanie's the real deal. So check her out, show her some love. She's super, super, super cool. I totally forgot how to pronounce pronounce this. She told me this before, but you can follow her on Twitter at SUNDARARUSAK. So go show her some love there. Beauty and the Bolts, or just type in Beauty and the Bolts. I think she comes up, but we'll see. Well, yeah, you'll find out. But yeah, so big shout out to, once again, Beauty and the Bolts and the Giant Voices podcast. This podcast is brought to you by them today. So show them some love and let's keep this thing pushing, y'all. Let's keep it going, because it's time for some Steelers football, baby. Here we go, Steelers. Get those terrible towels out. It's about that time, y'all. So, with that said, we'll take us out another quick commercial break, and when we come back, we'll be talking some Steelers football with Mr. Matt Hames of Utah, y'all. So look, this is a fun one. The last one was awesome with Mr. Chris Shizler, but this one's going to be pretty awesome too. So they all are. So anyway, y'all, we'll see you on the other side of this break. Once again, you're listening to 3 and Out, 8 divisions in 8 days. AFC week, y'all. AFC North edition right here on IE Sports Radio. Your direct feed for all that is sports. We'll be right back after this.
What up, all you boxing fans? This is Vince Wright, the sports governor, and me and Gilbert Batista are the host of Ringside on IE Sports Radio. Make sure you keep it tuned to IE Sports Radio, Spreaker.com for the latest edition of Ringside. All the boxing news you need right here. Keep it tuned, Spreaker.com, IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Hello, soccer fans. Pierre Moss here with you. I am the host of the Soccer Scoreboard Show right here on IE Sports Radio each and every week. Games and the best action from around the world of soccer. Not only do we have live scores for you, but we also news and all the latest stories from the soccer world right here on the Soccer Scoreboard Show. Come join us each and every week right here on IE Sports Radio.
Welcome back, football fans. Well, one team down, 31 to go, and we're going to jump right on it, y'all. We have the Dirty Birds up first. Awesome job to Mr. Chris Shizler talking about his Ravens and his thoughts on this year. And, well, I mean, might as well just jump right on over to the team they love to hate. Oh my gosh, such a great rivalry. A rivalry that I have enjoyed since 1996, of course. I was only like 7 years old at the time. But the Ravens and Steelers has been quite quite the battle ever since, and man, it has been such an awesome rivalry. But let's go ahead and jump on in to, of course, the nitty-gritty of this conversation, because I have yet another diehard on the air, ladies and gentlemen. As I mentioned, it's a great day, y'all. We are getting ready, we're rocking and rolling. AFC week is underway. 8 divisions in 8 days is underway, and 3 and Out season 6 is officially underway. Second team up here on the docket, we are talking Pittsburgh Steelers, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, welcoming in diehard Steelers fan. So happy to have him here for today, man. He hit him up on Twitter a couple weeks ago. Last week. This is a recorded interview from yesterday, as a matter of fact, Sunday, July 21st. But he's here live on 3 and Out today. Happy to have him here. On his Twitter, it says here he's a fantasy sports guru and apparently a Utah Jazz and a Utah Utes fan, as well as a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. Ladies and gentlemen, glad to have him here today. Ladies and gentlemen, welcoming the one, the only diehard Pittsburgh Steelers fan, welcoming Mr. Matt Hames. What's going on, Mr. Matt? How you doing today, man?
Good. How you doing, Larry V? How you doing?
I'm doing my
Happy to
best,
be here.
good sir. Sorry about that. I didn't mean to butcher your name. Hames, right? That's how you say it? Hames?
Hames, yes.
Hames, all right, good. We're good. Didn't butcher it. Yeah. All right. So, with that said,
Perfect. We're off to a good start.
well, we are off to a great start, man. I'm loving it. Didn't butcher your name. We are off to a great start. So here we go, Mr. Matt. I am so excited for this segment. Of course, I mean, me being a diehard Raiders fan, you know, your team and my team have had some bad blood for quite some time. But always a great matchup. And the Steelers, man, you can't talk football without talking somewhere in there, okay? I mean, you can talk football without them, but you can't talk about football history without bringing up the Steelers somewhere. I mean, I saw this past year, crazy video talking about the 1974 draft, one of the greatest drafts ever. I mean, there was like 3 or 4 Hall of Famers out of that entire draft, or maybe like 5, something like that. But there was out of all the Hall of Famers in that draft, all of them but one was a Steeler. I mean, you guys' first ever Super Bowl victory. I think I said in 74 or 70, the 74 draft, so 75 season or 74 season into the 75 season, something like that. Regardless, the Steelers are about as historic as football gets, and my gosh, just what an incredible, well, maybe Packers as well, I was going to put them in there, but just got to say, man, what an incredible, season, or sorry, a run you guys have had with 6 Super Bowls. You guys were the first to 6, of course. You want to say it. Sixburg, looking for the stairway to 7. I know the Patriots are not tied with you guys, but just saying, you know, first one to 7 now, we shall see. But this team is unique in so many different ways. And of course, here we are today talking about the Steelers and, you know, this season, getting into the season, talking a little bit about last season, talking about free agency, the draft, and then going into the season, your thoughts and predictions. So with that said, Mr. Matt, go ahead and tell us, man, the floor is yours. Tell us how you became such a diehard Steelers fan.
Well, you know, to be honest, I'm not from Pittsburgh. I'm actually from Idaho. And just when I was a little kid, the first, I don't know the age, probably 10, 12, around there, that's when I turned on the TV. My dad was actually a Bears fan. He was from Chicago. But I turned on the TV one day, and that was the first team I saw was the Steelers, and that was it. I loved their logo, and I was like, you know what, that's my team, and I never ventured from that. I've flown down to Dallas to go to a game a couple years ago. I've been to Heinz Field twice, just flown down there to games. The last one I went to was 2 years ago when the Steelers and Bengals played. It was, you know, Vontez Burfict, his return back to Heinz Field after taking out Antonio Brown in the playoff game. So there was a lot of bad blood, and, you know, righteously so. I was there booing him on. You know, the Bengals have not a soft spot in my heart, the Bengals, but they seem to have gotten rid of quite a few of their guys. So I guess I won't hate them as much as I used to now that they got rid of kind of the duds there.
Well, look at that, y'all. The man from Idaho becoming a diehard Steelers fan, because you know what, man, whenever you first fall in love with football, it's kind of like the first team right, sometimes the first team you see, it's awesome, man. So, I love it. Great stuff. What was that?
Oh, I just said right, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I've been following Ben Roethlisberger's career since he was drafted, kind of a savior of the Steelers, and, you know, I was hoping that Tommy Maddox would get benched sooner than later, which he did for Ben, and then the rest is kind of history for his kind of, you know, Hall of Fame career that he's had. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, you guys went ahead and got on in there and did your thing. I mean, he went ahead and got on in there, did his thing, and a couple Super Bowls later, still looking, I mean, hey, Big Ben's doing his thing. So, definitely one of the older quarterbacks in the league, but hey, we shall see, you know, how long he wants to stick it out and do his thing. So, still the guy over there in Pittsburgh, Mike Tomlin, doesn't look like he's going to be going away from him anytime soon, unless he retires. So, Pittsburgh, though, last year, okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at this. Last year, the AFC North, okay, so I'll go ahead and recap it. Ravens 10-6, Steelers 9-6-1, missing the playoffs. Browns 7-8-1, Bengals 6-10. So thank you, Google Magic there. And we'll go ahead and go on in to the season from last year. So first things first, man, you guys had such an up and down year. I mean, it was safe to say that the Pittsburgh Steelers had this roller coaster season that was just like, wow. Like 1 minute they're playing like they're, you know, a playoff caliber team. The next one, it's like, who are these guys? I don't even know who they are from last week. I mean, seriously, with all the drama that went on too, the Antonio Brown stuff, the Le'Veon Bell stuff, and all that craziness last year. I mean, you guys still managed to have a 9-6-1 season with one tie in there, of course. Don't really care. I really do feel like we should go college overtime. Just saying, I know that's kind of where injuries could happen, but I'm all for college overtime in the NFL. I'll tell you that right now. The best overtime I think ever. But with that said, go ahead and talk a little about last season, Mr. Matt. Tell us how you feel, your thoughts, your highs and low points, and really your overall thoughts of the 2018/2019 Pittsburgh Steelers.
Oh man, we might have all day here. So with the Steelers in particular, but it all started with the whole Le'Veon Bell drama, which had been going on from the previous year as well. He'd always kind of had some drama going on with him. When it's not money, it's drug suspensions and things like that. It's always something with Le'Veon Bell. And so that drama happened before the season. And to be honest, a lot of people asked me, "Hey, when is Bell coming back?" And I don't miss any Steelers games. I told everybody I would not bet on Le'Veon Bell coming back, and I told that to many people about fantasy football. I would not expect Bell to come back. They think he's coming back in week 5 or week 8. I don't expect him back. I 100% thought he was going to stick to his gun and not play and cash in on free agency because the Steelers were running him into the ground. I mean, it's true he was getting 400 touches or whatever it was a year, and he wanted to preserve his body. So that drama kind of started at the beginning, and then the team kind of turned on him right before the season started when he didn't show up to training camp, and so there was a lot of drama going on with that. But to be honest, going into the season, I still thought they were going to rally around James Conner and start running the ball more, and I thought they really weren't going to miss a beat. And then they came into that. I remember sitting on my couch. It was Steelers-Browns week 1. The Steelers were taking it to the Browns. I think they were up 21-7. James Conner had a couple touchdowns, and then all of a sudden they collapsed in the fourth quarter. I think James Conner had a fumble, and then they tied with the Browns, and I was like, okay, this is not great. Then they come out and they play the Chiefs week 2, and I was confident because the Steelers have kind of owned the Chiefs over the last 4 or 5 years. They've eliminated from them from the playoffs. The Chiefs were the team they just couldn't get past the Steelers. And then they came in Mahomes. It was his second game, so nobody knew what was really coming from him yet. And they just came out and it was in Pittsburgh, and they just came out and blasted Pittsburgh. Mahomes threw all over that defense. I think they were up 21-0 in the first quarter before Pittsburgh made a comeback, and that's when I was like, okay, this defense still to this is not fixed. We've been working for years and years trying to fix the defense ever since the good old days of Troy Polamalu and in prime James Harrison, and they just can't seem to get the fix. So we lost to the Chiefs, and then they came out with a victory over the Buccaneers, and then they laid another egg the week after that against the Ravens. I mean, just a total egg at home too. And Steelers are usually Heinz Field is somewhere where generally teams don't really want to play, is what it has seemed like. In the last few years, though, it seems like anybody can go in there and win, which the Steelers need to fix that and get that mystical feature back again. With field goal kickers missing field goals there, and then the Steelers fans, the team just needs to put on a little bit better product there to get that back going again for the fans to get into it. But then after they lost to the Ravens, all of a sudden out of nowhere, something just kind of kicked, and they went on, let's see here, a 6-game winning streak. I mean, they whooped up on the Falcons, they beat the Bengals, the Browns, they went into Baltimore, won that game. They put 52 on Carolina, and that was a Carolina team, I think, at the time that had only lost 1 or 2 games. I mean, they took it to them. Then they played Jacksonville and squeaked out a win at the end. And honestly, that's when I was like, okay, the Steelers are turning the corner there. They're running the ball well. Their defense is playing better. Not great, but better. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, they went on this kind of West Coast trip and didn't really look back after that. They went to Denver and just made crucial mistakes when they played in Denver. I remember there was basically a a wide open touchdown to Ben Roethlisberger to Grimble, and instead of him just getting in the end zone, he tried to be a hero and run over the top of the Denver guy, and then he fumbled the ball, and so the Steelers lost. I don't know if you caught that game, but he fumbled the ball at the 1 yard line, and it went out of bounds. So I believe that the Broncos took over, and it should have been a touchdown. It was crazy, but so they lose to the Broncos, which was terrible, and that's actually the game that publicly that Ben Roethlisberger and Antonio Brown first started having their blowout. I'm sure behind the scenes there was more, but that was the game where it started to become public because Ben Roethlisberger called out Antonio Brown after the game, saying that he should have ran a better route at the end of it. So that was the start of that drama publicly. Then they go and play San Diego, and I thought that was a pretty controversial game. I thought, from just being a biased Steelers fan, I think they got kind of hosed on a lot of the calls in that game. But either way, they lost that game 33-30. I think they had a 2-touchdown lead in that one, too. They let slip away. Then the bad ones, the week after that, and I heard you say you're a Raiders fan when they went down to Oakland. I'm still trying to figure out how they lost that game. I still don't really understand what Mike Tomlin was doing that game because the Steelers seemed to be in control. I know that Big Ben got hurt, but then they put in their backup, Josh Dobbs, and he just was terrible. He was absolutely terrible that game, and I was starting to really see that the Steelers might need to draft another quarterback here soon because he was awful. I don't even know how many first downs they got, maybe 2 the whole rest of the game. But anyway, so Big Ben came in. I think with 5 minutes left in the game, they'd seen enough of Dobbs finally, and Big Ben led them all the way down the field in one series. They scored a touchdown, and then the Raiders came back, and they obviously, that they scored. They scored at the end of the game to take that win, but in my head, I'm like, why was Ben Roethlisberger not playing for those other, quarter and a half if he could come in and lead that drive? So I questioned Mike Tomlin on that one. I don't really understand what was going on there. And then after that, they played the Patriots and won that game, which is another head-scratcher because they just lost to the Broncos and the Raiders, and then they go out and beat New England. So I don't know what is happening there. Then they played the Saints and actually gave them a heck of a game, and they were driving down the field at the end of the game to win, and then Juju fumbled the ball. I think it was about 2 minutes left, maybe a little bit less, and Juju had that game-ending fumble, which basically ended the Steelers' season right there because they, lost those 3 games in a row before, and it allowed the Ravens to catch up to them. I mean, they had a sizable lead in their division. They should have ran away with it, but they lost those games and led them back into it. They did beat the Bengals in Week 17 without Antonio Brown. That was when Antonio Brown basically went AWOL on the team and decided that he just wasn't going to play anymore. I think he showed up to the stadium in his fur coat, not even really ready to play. And so they had that drama going on. And then they did win that game, but then the Ravens beat the Browns in Week 17. The only time I'd really been rooting for the Browns, but then they lost at the very end there, so the Ravens took it. So I don't know. A lot of people, give the Ravens credit. They won the division that year, but I truly think it's more the Steelers lost it. I mean, looking at their record and what they did, than the Ravens actually won it. And, the Ravens went out and lost, of course, in the wild card round at home and really kind of got destroyed until the fourth quarter. So I don't know. I would have liked to, obviously we can't go back in time, but I would like to see the Steelers and Chargers back, and I think that would have been a much better game in the playoffs. And I think a lot of people in the media and everything pretty much know that would have been a better game. The Ravens kind of lucked their way into the playoffs, but it is what it is. The Steelers blew it last year, and this year we're coming back for that division crown.
All right, well, there it is, man. So, once again, ladies and gentlemen, I'm talking to Mr. Matt Hames here, diehard Steelers fan over there in Utah. So, let's go ahead and jump on over here. Well, you're from Utah, right? Well, you're in Utah, right? I would.
Yeah. I'm in Utah now. Yeah.
Okay, I would guess because you're a Utes guy, so I'm just saying, But that's awesome, man. So last year, big recap of the season for the Steelers last year, Mr. Matt Hames. So let's go ahead and briefly go through these, a few minutes apiece. But free agency. So overall, Matt Barron, linebacker. I mean, former Ram guy is, you guys still trying to fill that gap, of course. I'm always praying for, one of the best linebackers I think I've ever seen, especially in this era, Mr. Ryan Shazier. Hopefully one day he can just get back to life, let alone football. So I hope he's recovering. But you guys still trying to fill the void at linebacker. So you went and picked up Mark Barron. Then Dante Moncrief, not bad player there, picking him up. Jacksonville, Steve Nelson, corner out of, from Kansas City. Then you guys will re-sign Chickillo, Anthony Chickillo, of course. Eli Rogers, you will re-sign him as well. And Dan McCullers also defend the big defensive tackle there. So there's your guys' free agency. So briefly, just briefly, nothing too crazy to elaborate here, but your thoughts on free agency.
I think the Steelers did a little bit more in free agency than they usually do, and I'm glad you touched on Ryan Shazier. We won't go much into that because everybody knows what happened there, but I did forget to mention that in my recap. That is another thing that really hurt the Steelers last year, was Ryan Shazier not being there. And obviously he is a tremendous heck of a player. He's a game changer, but they still haven't been able to replace him. But I think we'll get into that here a little bit later in the show. But Mark Barron should be able to do a decent job, better than what they had. They had John Bostic last year, and he's just a little bit slower. The Steelers' defensive schemes were not really helping putting their players in the best position, I guess I should say. They've got their middle linebackers, it's Williams and John Bostic trying to cover its slot receivers and just lots of people out of position, which didn't help. So I think Mark Barron should be able to help a little bit in that scheme of things. And then Dante Moncrief, I actually like that a lot. He's not a superstar, but I liked the signing because it seems like the Steelers are building to a lot more team guys. They've got Juju, they've got James Washington, who actually improved tremendously from the beginning of last year to the end. At the beginning, I was worried. He was dropping balls. He was doing all kinds of things. And last year, at the end, he was starting to make some big plays. So kind of the opposite of Antonio Brown. He gets called out in the media and, goes AWOL. James Washington gets called out in the media and steps up and starts catching passes. So, but Dante Moncrief, I think, actually has a shot to be the starting wide receiver on the other side of Juju at the beginning of the year, at least at the beginning. And I think he's a good fill-in guy there until either Deontay Johnson that they drafted or James Washington are ready for that position. So I think him playing with Ben Roethlisberger will actually be good. It'll be the best quarterback he's ever played with. Well, maybe Andrew Luck, a little bit different, but best quarterback since Andrew Luck, I guess. So definitely better than Blake Bortles. And then Steve Nelson, that corner from Kansas City, they gave him quite a bit of money, a 3-year deal, $25 million. To be honest, I didn't know a lot about him in Kansas City. I've looked him up, and it looks like I've seen highlights, and he's got some bad moments, but he's also got some good moments. So I'm hoping, starting on the other side of Joe Hayden, he'll be able to showcase more of the good than the bad. You would probably know a lot more about him being a Raiders fan, but it seems like he has some good plays, but then he also gets burned every now and then. But hopefully it's an improvement over Artie Burns, who was getting burned basically every single play at the beginning of last year. So, and then they re-signed Chickillo, and he's a good outside linebacker that they just kind of bring in off the bench when people need a break. Eli Rogers is a tremendous slot receiver. I don't see him dropping very many balls. In fact, I think it could be him, Moncrief, and Juju as the starting 3 receivers at the beginning of the year with Rogers in the slot. He's a good slot receiver. Dan McCullers, he just signed for depth. He's not bad, but he's not great either. They've got McClendon, and that he pretty much just sits right behind them pretty much. So and Hargrave. I said McClendon. It's Hargrave that they've got. McClendon was the old defensive tackle that they had. But he just pretty much backs up, so he'll come in every now and then. But he's not a game changer. So overall, they're free agents. They signed a couple guys more than they usually do. So we'll see what happens, I guess, with them. I think they're good signings that'll help out.
Absolutely. So, yeah, you mentioned Juju. I'm a SC guy. I mean, down here in Southern California, big SC guy. So, very proud of Juju and what he's been able to do over there. And now that looks like he's the one over there now. He's the number one. So, I wish him all the best over there. So, let's go ahead and, like I said, briefly go through the draft now. This year, you go ahead and, go through our pick if you like. But, like I said, we, briefly though, I mean, we got too much time, but let's make sure that we get the essence of every one of these picks. Of course, give me a good draft grade at the end if you would like. But first round here, Mr. Devin Bush, inside linebacker out of Michigan. The guy is a phenomenal athlete. There's nothing that's going to, whatsoever, that's going to change the fact that he is there to make a huge difference. I mean, let's just face it, the guy is there to really help out that linebacker core. In his presence, I do believe Steelers fans, much like yourself, the organization, everybody, they have high hopes for this guy to get in there and make some things happen. So great pick up there in the first round. Next up, third round, Deontay Johnson, wide receiver out of Toledo. You guys picked him. Don't know too much about him or anything at all. With that said, excuse me, or the Toledo organization. But next up, Justin Lane, corner out of Michigan State. That defense was suspect, but still a pretty stout defense. So Michigan State, another good player there, coming out of MSU. Next up, Benny Snell Jr., running back out of Kentucky. This guy was turning heads last year. Kentucky, people didn't even know Kentucky had a football team, okay? But I thought they were good at basketball school. Like, seriously, okay? So, they were quite the turnaround team. And last year, he was a big reason, because of it. So, good pickup there. Zach Gentry, tight end out of Michigan. Another good player there out of Big Blue, if you will. Northern Illinois, outside linebacker, Sutton Smith. So another guy to help with that linebacker core. Isaiah Buggs, defensive tackle out of Alabama, who, I mean, my gosh, he went pretty late, but what a nice pickup there. Big boy in the middle. And Ulysses Gilbert III, inside linebacker out of Akron in the 7th round, as well as Derwin Gray, offensive tackle out of Maryland. So, so your quick and dirty thoughts, Mr. Matt, on your guys' draft.
I think that they got a killer draft this year, and I'd be honest if I didn't like it, but I think they finally realized, and we'll just go through it quickly here, that after last year there was no more playing around. They had to upgrade the linebacker position. After Shazier got hurt, they tried just throwing in a bunch of guys that seemed like they were athletic, but they weren't getting it done, and they knew they had to do something. There wasn't any top free agents that they could really get or afford. So they traded up. They traded their pick with Denver to get that number 10 slot. I believe it was 10, to get Devin Bush, which was tremendous. If they didn't get Devin Bush, I honestly think they would still have the exact same problems that they had last year, and it would just be all over again until next year. So I think he will start from day one, get a lot of good reps, and his athletic ability looks just off the charts. So I wish I could see him and Shazier someday. Maybe we will. I don't know. Shazier's got to get back to life first. But, if those two could ever play together, that would be tremendous. Deontay Johnson, to be honest, when I first heard about him and they drafted him, I wasn't so sure about it. The media was kind of ripping the Steelers about it, that they kind of picked him higher than they should have in the 3rd round. But then you just see him on tape, and you've seen him at practice. They're comparing him to a young Antonio Brown. You'd have to watch some highlights, but the way that he gets off the line of scrimmage and can get the defenders off of him, the corners off of him with his hands, I know that they really like Deontay Johnson, and so I feel like right now Dante Moncrief will start at the beginning of the year. I truly believe that, but by the end of the year I can see Deontay Johnson taking that over, especially if Moncrief struggles, so that'll be something to watch. Justin Lane is another one I really like. Really, really like, actually. He's going to have to play behind a couple people at the probably this year. I don't even know if he'll even see the field a lot this year as a rookie, but I do think eventually they're grooming him to replace Joe Hayden. A lot of people in Pittsburgh like Justin Lane, so I think he has an opportunity to get some reps in there, probably starting next year, though. And then Benny Snell Jr. is the fourth pick. I know it's their first 4 picks, but I really like him, and it'll be kind of interesting because the Steelers obviously have James Conner, and they have that good running back behind him, and they're going to be splitting time a little bit. I assume Conner's going to get the majority of the carries there, but Benny Snell Jr. is a beast. So I'm glad that they have the depth right there behind Conner. But, I mean, I don't think he'll ever replace Conner because Conner is just embedded in Pittsburgh. He's a Pittsburgh guy. Obviously, he had cancer. The city loves him. He played at Pitt. So unless he somehow suffers an injury, I don't see that ever happening. But Benny Snell Jr. is a beast, so it'll be good to have a lot of running back depth there. But the Steelers are set at running back for a while. They'll never have to sign a running back for another 3-4 years at this rate. Their running back depth is tremendous. So those are the 4 that I really like. Zach Gentry, I think he definitely has a chance to make the roster because the Steelers just lost Jesse James to Detroit, and so they'll need someone to fill the slot there as a second role tight end behind Vance McDonald, and I think he'll eventually jump Xavier Grimble on the depth chart. And so that's kind of my draft review there.
I like it, man. So go ahead, give us a solid grade. What do you think, man? Give the Steelers a grade. What do you think they did this year?
Honestly, I'd give them an A. I honestly would, mainly because of the Devin Bush. That was their main need. I mean, corner, they addressed it in free agency when they went, paid for Steve Johnson. They still have Joe Hayden. They drafted a safety last year. So really the only need they had was maybe wide receiver, which they got in the third round. That middle linebacker is by far and away their biggest need. And they addressed it, and they then got Devin Bush. So I don't give them an A- on their draft.
Absolutely. I think I did too as well in our recap show. I think I gave him an A or A- somewhere right around there. But with that said, all right, so got a few minutes left here in the show. Then this is always a fun segment, Mr. Matt. This is a segment we like to call Stick It To 'Em. And what does that mean? Well, this is your chance right here. Of course, love to have you back on the show. We'd love to have you back on the show all season long. But this is your chance to stick it to them. You can be nice. You can be respectful. You can be mean and ugly. You can do whatever you like, man. All thoughts, comments, opinions are their own here at IE Sports Radio, including the podcasters and guests. So do your thing, Mr. Matt. Talk about the rest of the AFC North, what you think they're going to do this year. And, of course, throw your Steelers in the mix, where you think they're going to finish. And give a final record if you'd like. If you don't want to, I understand. Some people are superstitious about that, and I understand. But other than that, Matt, the floor is yours, man. Stick it to them.
All right. Well, I'm predicting the Bengals are going to be one of the worst teams in the National Football League. They have a putrid offensive line. Andy Dalton, we've all seen what he can do. I do like A.J. Green, but their defense is terrible. They've lost a lot of defensive guys. I really think that you're looking at a bottom 5 NFL team with the Bengals. The Ravens, I know all their fans are all up in a yippee-yap, that they think that they're great. They think that they've got Lamar Jackson. That dude can't throw. I do like Lamar Jackson. He's a heck of an athlete, but he is not an NFL quarterback, in my opinion. I could eat those words later. In my opinion, he's got some work to do, though. I know they've added a little bit of talent around him. What's his name? Hollywood Brown, and which hopefully is not Antonio Brown or get like that because they're cousins. So if he is, get ready for that. I think that the Ravens will finish third in the division, probably around 8-8, maybe 7-9. I think they're going to get exposed, which would be great for the rest of us. Browns, I am a Brown believer, but I think that they are on the on and up with Mayfield. It actually scared me a little bit when they got OBJ. It seems like a lot of free agents are wanting to play there. I do think they still finish second in the division, though. I think they will be a 9-7 team, and I truly believe the Steelers will win the division. They will get a first-round bye. I believe they're going to finish the year 12-4 and have a couple losses in there. But after what's happened with in the last year with the whole Le'Veon Bell and then the whole Antonio Brown blowing the whole thing up. And my honest opinion about Antonio Brown is he really screwed the Steelers on the way out because they were going to send him to Buffalo for a first-round pick or a swap of first-round picks. And Antonio Brown told them, no, I ain't playing there. So he forced his way out. He's I know you're a Raiders fan, so I think he'll be on good behavior this year, but in 2 to 3 years, we'll remember each other on Twitter and see if I told you so. But he is a head case and a half, and I think it's just a matter of time before he, is a headache again. But I think with everything that happened with Antonio Brown, with Le'Veon Bell, with Ben Roethlisberger getting a lot of heat, and really I don't think Ben did that much anyway, unless there's stuff behind the scenes that hasn't been revealed. He uses his local media show to try to, pump guys up, and he doesn't really say anything too bad. So I don't know what the media was freaking out about that, because usually you respond when you get called out, and Antonio Brown's the only one who apparently doesn't do that. But I think Ben is going to be motivated. I think that the Steelers are going to completely retool their offense because they have no choice. I think it'll be a run-first offense with James Conner, so I think James Conner is just going to pound it this year. And as long as he doesn't get hurt, because that's kind of what they were doing last year. James Conner was running wild, the Steelers' offense was doing good, and then he got hurt, and that's kind of when things went downhill. So, but luckily they've got Benny Snell Jr. now if that happens again. But anyway, long story short, because I know we're short on time, I think the Steelers finished 12-4. I think they're motivated by all the haters in the media that say that they're going to go downhill this year. They've got a top 5 offensive line they have the last few years, full of first and second round draft picks. That's it, man. I think that I think you're looking at an AFC championship team. Hopefully the Super Bowl, but I think they can get to I'm predicting AFC championship this year.
Well, that is huge. You know what, man? You guys definitely have a motivated team. I'm telling you, that it's true, man. The young talent there now, Juju, those running backs. I mean, Snell could get it. We don't know who's capable of, who's going to get in there and do their thing. Bush could have a huge year in his rookie year. I mean, there's so many question marks, but then so many at the same exact time. Good, reassuring picks in the draft and in free agency, pickups there. So I do right now. I'll tell you right now, the Steelers they're not going anywhere. It's going to be tough for me at the end of this show to pick who I think is going to win this year. And my gosh, the Steelers I've been picking the last couple of years. This year, I don't know. I was really kind of considering a change, but man, now you've wholly reassured the fact that this team is just an incredible team, and they just have so many pieces there.
Not to cut you off there, I think the team to really compare them to would be that 2005 team that won the Super Bowl. I know it was Ben's second year, but they really were a run-first team, and then Ben kind of threw it when he needed to. I think that's what and they played tough defense. I know they had Polamalu and everybody, but I think that's what you're going to see this year is more of a run-first team to try and open up the play action with Juju, because I know teams are going to try and double cover him, so they're going to have to find a way to get him open. They're going to be a run-first team, and their defense, T.J. Watt's going to get in his third year. They've got Joe Hayden, obviously Devin Bush, Cam Hayward. I think they're going to play tough defense and run the ball, and that's how they're going to win. They're kind of like their first Super Bowl they won, or to be that, not the first of the last few years, so the fifth one that they won was in Ben's second year. I think that's the team you're going to have to see from the Steelers this year if they want to win. So.
Yeah, I like it. So that's a great thing to close on right there. With that said, ladies and gentlemen, once again, where's that applause button, man? Mr. Matt Haynes, thank you so much, sir, for being on the show today. That was absolutely awesome. Now, it is your time, man. I mean, of course, it's been your time, for the last segment, but Mr. Matt, tell us, man, tell these diehard Steelers fans out there, Steeler Nation, where they can find you on Twitter and anything else, any publications you may do, anything else you may do, man. Go ahead and plug it and let everybody know where they can find you.
Yeah, you guys can find me on Twitter at Matty Haynes, so MATTYHAM, like for Matt ES. I'm on there quite a bit, giving NFL and fantasy football advice, or just anything you want to know. I'm on there. I talk Steelers football. Just stop by and say hello. We can play fantasy football together if you want. I start a whole bunch of different leagues. I probably play in 8 to 10 leagues a year. I usually manage most of them, so if you're interested in that, just send me a DM on Twitter, and I'd love to hear from you. And bring more Steelers fans in so we can talk football all year.
I'm loving it, man. Hey, love to have you back on the show this year, talk some primetime face-offs, and to bring you into some primetime face-offs, and the Steelers play in primetime, and of course, gets to talk some Steelers football in general, man. So, with that said, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Matt Hames, once again, thank you so much, sir. That was incredible, man. Thank you so much for being a part of the show today, and that is that. So, with that said, we got the Ravens down. We got the Steelers down. Next up, we got KTO, baby. KTO's in the house. Carson the Oracle, YouTuber, of course, in the house to talk about some Browns football, and then we'll be finishing it off with Captain Obvious today, talking about the Bengals later on today's show. So once again, great recorded interview here with Mr. Matt Hames. This was recorded yesterday on July 21st, Sunday, July 21st, and we're going to keep it rolling on here. So once again, ladies and gentlemen, 2 teams down, 30 to go here. AFC week officially underway in 8 divisions in 8 days. 3 and out, season 6 officially underway. Y'all, let's keep this thing going and have some fun, y'all. Once again, big shout out to Mr. Matt Hames. Thank you again for being a part of the show. When we get back, we'll be talking some Browns football with... sorry about that. We'll be talking some Browns football with KTO, Carson the Oracle, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We'll be right back after this.
Wrestling fans in the podcast world, you are in the right place to listen to the right show, the premier show in the professional wrestling podcasting world. This is Ring Rambling Radio, and you're listening to one of the co-hosts. I am Martin Sandoval, a.k.a. the SoCal Saint, along with my 2 co-hosts, the lovely Felicia and my boy Matt. Yes, every Saturday or every other Saturday morning, you can listen to us, the premier wrestling team, giving you the premier wrestling news, rumors, updates, event discussions, everything that has to do with professional wrestling. You're in the right place. IE Sports Radio presents Ring Rambling Radio. Don't miss it, because it's just too sweet.
Hi everybody, it's Calvin here from USRN, here to give you an important message. Since 2017, we have done our absolute best to provide you with nothing but the highest quality of sports calls in the greatest of quantity possible. Thanks to you, our station has grown more than we ever thought. That's why, with your help, we would like to grow even further. Just think, twice the amount of your favorite calls, 24 hours of coverage, talk shows, play-by-play, game-by-game analysis, and so much more. That's right, USRN2 is officially in development, but we can't do it alone. We have set up a GoFundMe page that you can access from our homepage on the left of your screen. We also are planning special giveaways and prizes to our highest donors. Our goal here at USRN is to bring you the best calls possible at no cost to you. In order to continue to do that, we need your help now. Please check out our GoFundMe page, and if you would like to know how you can help, you can email usrnradio@gmail.com. Without your support, we couldn't do what we do.
Two Wheels Wednesday is the place to come for all your motorcycle sports news every Wednesday on IE Sports Radio with myself, Matt White. All the latest news, rumours, race reviews and previews from World and British Superbikes and the big one, MotoGP. Two Wheels Wednesday, every Wednesday on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sport.
Welcome Welcome back, football fans. Well, we got 2 teams down, 30 to go. And at the end of the segment right here, we will have 29 to go, y'all. AFC week officially underway. 3 and out, season 6, 8 divisions in 8 days. We are rocking and rolling. Awesome first 2 interviews, y'all. I mean, seriously, the first 2 were super cool. Of course, talking Ravens football with Mr. Chris Schisler. And, of course, as you just heard, the interview with Mr. Matt Hames. Now we got the Browns fan. And he's not just any Browns fan. I mean, hey, we're all unique in our own way. God made us all unique. But I'll tell you what, this guy right here, happy to have him again on the show. He is always ready and willing to be on this show. And it's awesome because he does a lot. Like, this guy has an incredible YouTube channel, and I mean, I'm just looking at it right now. 381,000 subscribers to date right here. This interview was recorded yesterday, by the way, on July 21st, 2019. But man, what an awesome thing he's done. So many great videos. I have yet to watch his latest one. It's just a day ago he released it. But check him out though, y'all. KTO on YouTube. Who's the biggest NFL player of all time? Interesting video. He's had plenty of cool videos, including a video talking about Kansas, the most miscellaneous college football year I think we can think of, back in 2007 when Kansas was actually a pretty legit team. And he also has a pretty cool video back in the day of remember when the Browns were actually good? So, I mean, interestingly enough, he has really cool videos. Not interestingly enough, he has really cool videos, but interestingly enough, the Browns actually weren't too bad not too long ago for just a short time. But check out those videos. He will tell you plenty more about that, of course, in this interview. And you go check out his videos, and he'll tell you plenty more about football. So with that said, ladies and gentlemen, happy to have him here today. His second time, I believe so. Yes, his second time doing 8 divisions in 8 days. Glad to have him back from last year to this year. The man needs an introduction, but my gosh, we're going to give him one anyway. With that said, ladies and gentlemen, YouTuber, in my opinion, world famous YouTuber and diehard Browns fan. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in the one, the only KTO, Karsten the Oracle. Welcome back to the show, brother. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great, man. I'm living life. I'm really excited for football season. I've been dying for months because of the most unbelievable offseason for the Browns that's ever been had, you know what I mean? So I'm just excited.
You and me both, man. And your Browns this year are something to be excited about. We just talked right now before the show, before we started recorded the segment. And, you know, it's awesome to think after so many years of just depressing, terrible, crappy down years, the Browns this year you can actually say are competitive. And I mean, it's just awesome to think that your team is actually going to more than likely be a front runner this season.
Yeah, no, it's crazy because every single year I convince myself that the Browns could be something. I mean, even the year that they lost every game, when they went 0-16, I had a feeling that they would do well. So, you know, I've been like that my entire life, very optimistic, and I don't feel like I need to now. I don't have to defend them because I think everyone knows they're going to be good. So,
absolutely.
It's a good time.
Absolutely. So, with that said, let's go ahead and jump on into this. Last year, his story is pretty awesome because as a youngster, I remember him saying last year that he used to draw football helmets. So, kind of cool because how he actually became a Browns fan was drawing football helmets and knowing that, I guess his favorite one being the Browns football helmet, which is pretty cool. So, I know, once again, the people heard it last year, but a quick refresher, man. How did you become such a big Browns fan?
So, if you grow up in Idaho like me, you kind of choose a team to cheer for because we don't have any professional teams where I'm from. So, naturally, people go Seahawks, people go the Broncos, the Denver Broncos, because they're both close. But for me, I just loved the beauty of the sport, right? So, like you said, I was drawing football helmets because I just liked looking at football helmets, and they were easy to draw. And, of course, what's the easiest helmet to draw? The orange Browns helmet. So that instantly attracted me, obviously. And then I think right when I was, 2002-ish, right when I could really start to understand the sport better. I was like 7, 8 years old, starting to play myself. And the Browns made a playoff run. Like, they got to the first round, had a crazy playoff game against the Steelers. And ever since then, I had just been hooked. And with every year that they did so bad, I think I just, like, lashed on even more because I was like, eventually, they're going to get good. Eventually, something's going to happen. And so here I am, 16, 17 years later, still waiting. Still waiting for something. But I think it's finally here.
I can definitely agree with you, Mr. Karsten, that I think your days are finally here for being able to watch this team do something incredible. So with that said, awesome introduction. Let's get to it. So last year, the Cleveland Browns Cleveland Browns fans, I'm sure, were actually a little more happier than the Browns were, because the Browns, if there was ever a chance, my gosh, last year's season was just awesome. So, talking about with the last two fans we've had on here today, the AFC North from last year. So, as we know, the Ravens took care of business. Google magic, go ahead and Googled it real quick. But the AFC North took care of it. 10-6, okay, getting their another division title. Steelers at 9-6-1, the Browns at 7-8-1, and the Bengals at 6-10. So last year, the Browns, oh my gosh, if there was ever a season where you guys are probably going to be like, my gosh, there were so many close games that were winnable. I mean, it was last season, but you also had some games that were, they were really close on both sides. Some games that you maybe should have lost, some games that you maybe should have won, maybe a mixture of the two. But I'll tell you what, the Browns certainly proved last year that if there is a backbone on this team, they have it now. So, great season in my opinion. I know it wasn't a quote-unquote winning season because there's more losses than wins. But go ahead, Karsten. Take us through that season last year, or however you like to do it. But talk about the Browns last year and that season and what is really just giving you hope for a better year this year.
Yeah, I mean, talk about a roller coaster. We get the number 1 overall pick. Baker was my guy from the beginning. Like, that was the guy I wanted out of all the quarterbacks. So I was excited. But we started with Tyrod, and the first 4 games of the season are just... I mean, I'm actually watching the highlights right now, just like kind of rethinking about it, refreshing. And the first 2 games, the Browns lost because they missed, like, 4 field goals. And they missed, like, 3 field goals against the Saints. They missed the game winner against the Steelers in week 1, so they tied that. And then against the Raiders, they were up by 8 points with like 4 minutes left, and then they got the ball back and then got a first down, but then they reviewed it and said that he didn't. And so I'm just watching this, like, instead of being 1-2-1, the Browns could have been 4-0. Like, they really could have. And they would have made the playoffs. And so it's just crazy. But all that really matters is that, week 3, down 14 points, Baker Mayfield comes in and has the most miraculous game that's happened to the Browns in at least 10 years. I mean, they dropped, I don't even know how many games in a row, if you don't count the tie. I mean, they've lost like 30-something games or something over 2 years. And then Baker comes in and just ignites the crowd. I was watching at my house. I was freaking out. That was one of the best experiences that whole season because it was such a whirlwind. It started bad. Baker comes in, ignites the fire that we now have. Then they start to drop a couple games, and then they go on this crazy winning streak, and they win like 5 of 6 games. And then they have that like week 17, game against the Ravens that was just came down to the wire, and it was tough. Even though the Browns didn't make the playoffs, that was one of the most. I don't even know, like, even this season coming up, it's going to be great, but with how low the expectations were for last year and what they did, it's going to be hard to beat just as far as excitement. But if the Browns make the playoffs, that's how they'll beat it.
No, absolutely. You guys had some, and it's true. I mean, me as a Raider fan, I'm pretty happy about that game. But regardless, man, you guys definitely could have won that game and the other three. I mean, to think of how crazy that would have been and how the run you guys would have made. You and I both know the NFL is. The playoffs. The playoffs are just a different animal, and you guys could have turned it up. I mean, who knows how far you could have gone, but woulda, coulda, shoulda, leaving that stuff in the past. Yeah. And as of right now, we're moving forward. And speaking of forward in the future, my gosh, free agency this year for you guys, not too shabby. Sheldon Richardson, okay, nice, man. Going on with the Browns here for this year. You also have Demetrius Harris, tight end, out of Kansas City, okay, coming on over. Kendall Lame, offensive tackle. You guys pulled him, actually, offensive line. I don't know what he is, but you guys go ahead and picked up Adrius Taylor, linebacker out of Tampa Bay. Also, Eddie Cush, offensive line out of Eddie Cush, offensive lineman out of Chicago. So not too many eye-popping picks here. Of course, the big one was Sheldon Richardson. I mean, big time, in my opinion, pick up here from the Vikings. So, I mean, this guy, big man in the middle. So, go ahead, man. Talk about your free agency and what you really expect out of these guys.
Well, one guy you're forgetting is Olivier Vernon from the Giants.
Oh, that's right, and Olivier Vernon.
What's funny about Vernon is he was such a great pickup because the Browns made the trade with the Giants, but then they made the trade to get Odell so fast afterwards that Vernon just gets forgotten about. And Vernon was a Pro Bowler. So now we have two Pro Bowlers on the edge, Vernon and Garrett. And then Richardson and Ogunjobi in the middle, because Ogunjobi's like a rising star, and Dorsey loves him. And so him and Richardson, I mean, that D-line is so stacked. It's going to be so great. And other additions were good. Demetrius Harris should be good. I know that John Dorsey's brought over a lot of guys from Kansas City that he's liked in the past. And the other guy he brought over was the running back, Kareem Hunt. So a couple of additions to the offense is going to be great, but I think it all gets overshadowed by one game. And it kind of put the football world on pause for a moment when they got Odell, because it's just someone as big as that to come to Cleveland, I mean, it was a trade, but just to pull that off, and now the firepower that this team has. I mean, keep in mind they are the youngest roster in the NFL, but it's easy to argue that they're the most talented roster in the NFL as of right now. It's just mind-blowing. I don't even know where to start, you know what I mean? It's just, the defense is so much better. The offensive skill, like the skill players are so much better. And Baker's coming into a second season. It's just going to be so fun to watch. It's going to be so awesome.
I definitely agree. I mean, of course, I'm bad for Olivier Vernon. Of course, elephant in the room, Odell Beckham Jr. And how can we forget, man, not only did you get one half of that crazy LSU Tigers receiving corps, you also get another half. You guys get Jarvis Landry.
Yeah. I think it's the perfect fit. I think it really is what Odell needs to succeed. I think the environment he's coming into, his best friend that he went to school with. I mean, it's just, and the receivers coach that they had at LSU, that they both loved. I mean, he's there too. So it's just, I think it's just a match made in heaven, honestly. It's just so perfect. The young guy with Baker throwing it to him, they get along. And Baker's always going to stand up for him. It's just the dream scenario. It really is. As far as talent-wise, I mean, whatever happens during the season, this will be the greatest Madden team to ever play with. If you play the upcoming Madden, it'll be the most fun team to play with.
You're right, and honestly, Carson, this is kind of funny because this kind of team right here seems like it was made on Madden in franchise mode.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a team that you would create on Madden and be like, yeah, this would never happen.
It's true. And it's like the Browns did some real life Madden stuff, man. And I love it because you guys have an absolutely, I mean, this team is so jam packed with talent. And You're gonna hear this, Karsten. You probably already heard it, but there's too much talent for their own good. Too many egos, too many this, too many that. At the end of the day, that's not everybody. And you know what? They can definitely work together. This team has so many big names, but my gosh, if they are able to pull together and play as a team, I mean, it is absolutely scary to think of how good this Browns team could be, just let alone this season.
Well, I think the biggest thing that I'm so excited about is you take all these super freaks on the team, like Myles Garrett and Odell, and why it's so great for them is because now that they have so much talent around them, it makes it so much easier for them. You don't have Odell in New York where he's getting double and triple teamed because that no one else will throw to, or Myles Garrett just getting double teamed because the rest of the defensive line isn't that great. I mean, you had it stacked all over the field. So those guys are going to be able to still make plays without. If you double Odell, Jarvis is going to be open, or David Njoku, or Kareem Hunt out of the backfield, and Nick Chubb is the guy that he's not even an offensive player. I mean, he was unbelievable last year. He was like one notch down from Saquon Barkley as far as like stats. He just didn't play as many games, and so his stats don't his total numbers don't look as good. His yards per carry, his PFF numbers. I mean, he's a guy that's not even talked about when you're talking about the Browns hype, and he was unbelievable last year. So, yeah, it's awesome.
Absolutely, and I'm so excited for this year and this Browns team. So, first things first, man, let's go ahead and jump on in to, what's coming up next. Let's go ahead and jump on over to the draft. And this is where things are just absolutely nutty. I mean, it's unheard of to have. Well, it's not unheard of because I gave the Browns the best draft the last 2 years. But this year I forgot if I did. I know I gave them a pretty good grade. I think an A. But you let me know what you think about this, Karsten. But this past year in the draft, my gosh, no first round pick. But my gosh, it seems like you guys still won in the draft too. Okay, in the second round, we pick up another guy out of LSU. Okay, I don't know what your fascination is with LSU, the Tigers, but I mean, my gosh, Greedy Williams, man, corner out of LSU. You add another piece to that secondary. I am loving this pick. Then you went in and pick up, looks like Sion. I don't butcher his name, but Sion Taki also linebacker out of BYU. Okay, this dude right here, proven to be actually a very agile tackler. I remember hearing about him in the combine. Well, actually in the draft. Sheldrick Redwine, safety out of Miami. Miami isn't the Miami they used to be. We all know that. But guess what? Miami's, they definitely are a better Miami than they have been in previous years. And this guy right here has seemed to have been, somebody to be a pretty nice piece of this defense, of course, being an NFL pick and everything. So, also, Mac Wilson, linebacker out of Alabama. I think you always know the majority of the time you're going to get quality with an Alabama pick. Okay, pretty good linebacker there. Austin Cyber, I remember seeing this guy in so many big games for Oklahoma. Pretty dang good kicker, man. Get him in the 5th round. I like that pick a lot. Drew Forbes, offensive lineman out of Southeast Missouri State. And Donnie Lewis Jr., corner out of Tulane. Don't know much about those last 2 picks, but regardless, man, overall, I think I still give you guys an A, or even maybe even a B+, A-. I'm going to give you guys a solid A because you guys still happen to win. You won free agency for dang sure, and then in the draft, you still pick up some guys that are going to be able to help. Carson, talk about your draft, man, and give us a grade if you'd like.
So taking it back to other drafts, right? Every single NFL draft for the last, 10 years, it's been such a big deal because the Browns will have, a top 5 pick, and then they'll have 2 first-round picks, and then a high-up second-round. So essentially 3 first-round picks with a top 10 or top 5 pick every year. So just how much was, riding on the draft every year made it so it just mattered almost too much. It was, scary because the draft is one of those things where a lot of players don't work out. So I think what's so great about this draft is guys like Greedy, guys like Taki, Matt Wilson. Those are guys I really like. But the most important part is it's just depth. Like the Browns aren't asking for these guys to be great from day one. Like Greedy's like just a freak athlete. He's a little raw, but he's not going to be asked to go start right away because you have Denzel Ward, Pro Bowl rookie last year. You have Terrence Mitchell, who was playing like a beast before he got hurt. You have depth. And so these guys are just going to be able to kind of find their roles and not, it's like if these guys don't work out, it's not even a big deal. That's why it's so great. That's why this draft is so good. Because Matt Wilson will be a good, fill-in linebacker. There's going to be a kicking competition with the guy from Oklahoma. I mean, it's just the depth now that the Browns have is probably the most intriguing part about the roster because guys can get hurt and guys like Greedy can step in and it's going to be all good, Guys get hurt last year and you're picking up guys off the waiver wire, you're playing guys who you don't want to play, but the team just has such good depth now. This draft just really added to that. So
it's true. It really has. And you guys, man, I'm telling you, with just the draft, the depth you guys have, it is scary. I mean, the Browns are looking like we can say this a million times over, but they are looking good right now. You guys are looking tough, strong team. And overall, I mean, just a good draft. So what do you say? What do you give you guys in the draft? What would your grade be, Carson?
Okay, so getting Greedy is probably the biggest impact because it was a mid-round second pick that felt like a first-round pick, and pretty much because of that, I'm giving them a B at the minimum. And then, as of right now, I don't know if a lot of these guys will work out. I'm going to give them a B. I think that's a safe way to go about it because I don't know much about the guys from the fourth round down other than Matt Wilson and the kicker. So as far as I think it's great that I don't know how many impact players there's going to be after Greedy. As far as like really a ton of playing time other than special teams. So give them a B for now. That's subject to change.
I like it, and you guys really have that's good. I give him an A because I really like that. That Greedy Williams pick is huge. Seibert, I think, is just value. Mac Williams is a guy who is just going to get in there. I think is going to be an impact player, for you guys maybe immediately. I mean, I am really, really, I like the Browns draft, and it just looks great. You guys look good, man. I love the picks. I'm excited. I want to see what Taki does, man. Like, no joke.
Yeah, I watched a bunch of his highlights, and he just seems like a guy who's flies around, makes plays. I'm just a little skeptical, a little nervous because do you remember the guy who played at Arizona a few years back? He led college football in tackles.
Scooby Ray?
Yes. So the Browns took him in the 7th round a few years ago, and I was so excited because he was making plays all over the field, but there was a question of his kind of his lateral ability to move, his athleticism, and he ended up never really working out. I don't even know where he's at now. At least for the Browns. I don't know if he's playing somewhere else. But I saw a couple analysts saying the same type of things about Taki, so that's the only reason I'm skeptical. He's a totally different player, so that's not fair to him. So that's the only reason I'm getting skeptical because I've seen these playmaking linebackers not work out a few times. That's all. I can't be fully optimistic because I'm already so optimistic about the team. You know what I mean?
I understand.
He's somewhat level-headed.
I understand. But yeah, man, hopefully he gets, you're right, totally different player. So hopefully gets in there and does his thing, man. I'd love to see it. And okay, so there we go. So let's go ahead and jump on in to the last segment of the show because I definitely want to talk about your YouTube a little bit here for everybody who doesn't know, which I mean with 381,000 subscribers, I'm not quite sure how many people don't know about KTO, okay, on YouTube. But with that said, let's go ahead and get into the final segment here of this segment before we get to, the point where you can go ahead and talk about everything with you. But stick it to them, man. Let's have some fun. We just recently talked to Mr. Chris Shizler. Pretty nice about it. Had a few things to say about the Steelers. Mr. Matt Hames had a few things to say about everybody. And, of course, Your turn, Mr. Carson, today, talking about Stick It To 'Em. Let us know, man. Give us your thoughts on the rest of the AFC North, as well as your Browns. You don't have to give us a final record if you don't like to. Your prediction for this year. Of course, you can if you'd like, but I know, some people are superstitious, and I understand that. But, all right, with that said, go ahead, man. Talk about the AFC North this year and what you think everything's going to, what you think, how you think everyone was going to do. So, Carson, stick it to them.
All right. Well, I don't think it's crazy by any means to say the Browns are the best team in the AFC North. One, the best team in the AFC North last year had a running back and quarterback. So when the league figures him out and then he's not able to throw downfield, I don't know what they're expecting. The only guy who stopped us last year was Mosley, and he's gone, isn't he? Correct?
CJ Mosley is a jet.
So Mosley's gone, right? I don't know how they retool that defense or what they're going to do when Lamar Jackson gets stopped, but I think the hype train's over. I think that he's going to have a bad year, and I think that they're going to be like a mid-level 7-9 type of team that loses both games to the Browns. Because I think the Browns got their number. I think Baker's way better than Lamar Jackson as a quarterback. And then the Steelers, what are they going to do? Antonio Brown's gone. Le'Veon Bell's gone. The two guys that kind of tore up the Browns for years. You got Juju, but Big Ben's not going to last forever. He threw 5 picks against the Browns last year in Week 1. And now that he doesn't have his guys around him, the two guys who were kind of making that offense work around him, they're gone. I just feel like that team, that offense is just, it's like a B- now. It's like a C+ instead of having, like, they were the talented team that they got all the hype. And I think the Browns kind of took that role from them. And the Browns are just overall more talented. And so I think the fear of the Steelers that every Browns fan used to have, like, oh, this is going to be a game that we have no chance in, I think that's gone. I really do. I think that the division rivalry is still there, but the Browns just match up so much better than they have in the past. And then I can't even talk about the Bengals, because the Bengals they're so bad. They're the new Browns. Andy Dalton's mediocre. They got Joe Mixon, he's fine, but their team is just slowly been declining in the kind of the background for years, and I think now is kind of when it's really going to show. They're going to be like a 4-12 team. That's kind of like the gimme games for the division teams. And so, talent-wise, the Browns are so much. They're just above and beyond all the teams. You could argue the Ravens are right with them, but they have a running back playing quarterback. It doesn't work. So, yeah, that's my take.
I like it. Okay, so do you want to take a stab at the at guessing the records, or do you just want to leave it at that?
Okay. I think, to be safe, I think fourth place is the Bengals at 4-12, roughly. I think the Ravens are 7-9 type of team, and that's could lose a couple more games when it doesn't matter. Go like 6-10, 5-11, and then I think the Steelers are going to be hanging on that 8-8, 9-7 train. But it won't matter because there's too many good teams in the AFC overall, and the Browns are going to go 11-5 and win the division.
I like it. Okay, so you think the Ravens and the Browns are going to stick together, maybe 8-8, 9-7 type of team?
I think they're hovering around the bubble of going 500, but it won't matter because the Browns will be up and away the best team in the division.
I like it. Look at that, y'all. Let's get Carson the Oracle, man. KTO just coming on in here and giving it to y'all, man. I'm telling you, this man has so much to be excited for with these Browns. I mean, just such a great team moving forward this year. I'm really excited to see. I'm very excited to see how well they do, and super, super, super excited for that. So, with that said, we got about 5 minutes left here, and I want to make sure I really give you the proper plug, man, because you are I'll tell you, that's the reason I found you on YouTube. Didn't even know if you would respond, but you did. You've been on the show the last 2 years, man. I couldn't appreciate it more, taking time out of your busy schedule. We had a show with you talking about just, being an athlete, of course. You running track at Sacramento State a couple of years back. Also, you being just, a YouTuber and turning on over to that, and, doing your thing on YouTube and just, all the awesome stuff you do, man. So with that said, Carson, go ahead, man. Plug yourself. Let these diehard Cleveland Browns fans know where they can find you. Let the Dog Pound know where they can find you on Twitter and anywhere else, of course, YouTube. And go ahead and talk a little about your YouTube channel and your latest video that I've still got to watch, actually, probably right after this segment, man.
Okay, yeah, so been doing YouTube for about 3 years, coming up on 3 years actually, and I'm just a mother of the game of football. So, former college athlete, I did track in college, played high school football. I just love history. I just love talking about sports history, and particularly football. So, if you like anything that is related to, NFL stories that you may not know about, my new series is kind of the biggest, who's the fastest, who's the strongest. Kind of going down that route of like the most extremes in NFL history. And so far it's getting some good attention. So if you like that kind of stuff, you can find me at simply KTO on YouTube. And I use Twitter here and there, and I'll give updates for stuff. And especially during the season, I will be ranting about the Browns every week. And you can find me at official KTO on Twitter. But yeah, right now I'm just starting this new series. I'm trying to get onto about every Thursday or Friday uploading a video, and mostly football history and maybe a little more Brown talk as the season comes by. So yeah, that's where I'm at right now. It's, like I said, football history, maybe a little bit of NFL conspiracy type stuff coming up. We'll see.
Well, I like it. Great stuff as always. Where's the applause button now, y'all? Ladies and gentlemen, once again, KTO, Karsten the Oracle. Hey, man, thanks again for being on the show. That was an incredible interview as always, man. It was great last year. Great having you. And, hey, I just spoke to Mr. Matt Hams in the last segment. I don't know if you heard it. Of course, didn't hear it because this was an interview, but maybe in the live show, you'll hear it coming up tomorrow, which is, of course, today, July 22nd. We're just all over the place recording interviews. But, yeah, I spoke to Mr. Matt Hams. And he said he'd love to take you on in a primetime face-off coming up in November when your Browns take on the Steelers in primetime. What do you got to say about that?
Yeah, I'm with it. I'm sure that'll be a very good matchup. That's going to be exciting. So I'm down to talk when that time comes.
Hey, so am I. Well, of course, co-hosting the show, but I'd love to hear that. That'd be awesome to have you guys going at it. Hey, man, respect all the way around, but hey, it's a division rivalry. Awesome stuff there. Definitely looking forward to it. So, with that said, y'all, once again, Mr. KTO, Karsten the Oracle. Seriously, this has been a great show so far, and we got one more team to go, y'all. So that is now 3 teams down, 29 to go. One more to go for today. AFC week officially underway. 8 divisions in 8 days. The season 6 premiere of 3 and Out. That's how we do it here on IE Sports Radio on 3 and Out, y'all. We have an 8 episode season premiere. So when we get back, we'll be talking to Captain Obvious about his Bengals, last team of the day. We got the Ravens out of the way, got the Steelers out of the way, got the Browns out of the way. Now it's off to the Bengals, and we'll be heading on over to the AFC West tomorrow. So, of course, stay tuned for the end of today's show. Myself and my colleagues, Mr. Mike Pat, Mr. Colin Reynolds, and Mr. John Felipe will be talking about our overview of the AFC North, what we think for this year. And, hey, so just stay tuned, y'all. It's going to continue on with Mr. Captain Obvious right after this break. Once again, you are listening to 3 and Out, 8 divisions in 8 days, AFC Week, AFC North edition, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We'll be right back after this.
From the home plate to the nets, the end zone to the finish line, here nothing is off limits and no sport is safe. Not what it seems with your host Caitlin Seam, bringing you sports like you've never heard before. Catch me Thursdays at 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific, right here on IE Sports Radio. The only question is, are you ready?
Welcome back, football fans. Well, there you have it. Carson the Oracle, KTO, man. Big shout out to him. And talking some Browns football. Next up, final team of the day. We have the Cincinnati Bengals, the team that every single one of those guys ripped on, kind of. And, well, guess what? We got a fan all the way from Ohio to talk about his Bengals on right now. Ladies and gentlemen, talking the fourth team of the day, of course. After this team, we'll have 28 teams to go in the NFL. So happy to have this guy on. Seems like a super diehard Bengals fan. And it's just an absolute honor to have this guy on. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, welcoming the one and only diehard Bengals fan, Captain Obvious. How's it going, man? How you doing today?
Hooray! Of course, we're saving the best for last.
I love it. I love it. Well, hey, man. Best for last. Here we go. I love this, man. Always great to have diehard fans, and that's what iSports Radio is all about, man. By the fans, for the fans, you know?
Absolutely.
So, here we go. So, this is his first time on the show. We got another first time here. Glad to have him on. Hopefully, you'll be on for many more times to come. So, let's start things off, Mr. Captain Obvious. How are we doing this, man? How did you become such a diehard Bengals fan?
You know what? It's going to be two parts. I grew up actually in Tennessee. When I moved down there, that was the year that they were in the 88 Super Bowl. And I was a kid, had never watched football in my life, but grew up a Garfield fanatic. So all these kids are saying, oh, Bengals suck, Bengals suck. I bet 25 cents on the game. I watched the Super Bowl, obviously heartbreaker. Been a fan ever since. The stripes on the helmets, the Garfield connection, probably the weirdest story you'll ever hear about becoming a fan, but that was it. Then, so many years being a fan, I became Captain Obvious, kind of as a joke. Some buddies at a tailgate, the guy that runs Bengal Bomb Squad, Big John, he got me involved, roped me into a Microsoft commercial. Everybody is dressed up crazy. I'm like, you know what, I can't be that dad guy with the cargo pants and the jersey, so I got to think of something. The choices were, everybody tells me I look like Captain Obvious, or shave the beard and goes Pee Wee Herman.
Oh.
So my wife obviously let me pick Captain Obvious, saved my marriage, and I've been Captain Obvious ever since.
I love that. Saved my marriage, and I've been Captain Obvious ever since. Well,
I think that goes Pee Wee Herman would have went over too well.
Oh my gosh, the applause button has been hit, sir, for you and your wife. That is awesome. So, ladies and gentlemen, Captain Obvious, that's how he became such a diehard Bengals fan, and here we go. So, first things first, Captain Obvious, once again, talking to Captain Obvious of the Bengals here. Of course, well, diehard Bengals fan, that is, not of the Bengals, but, you know, diehard Bengals fan. First things first, 4-12 record. My gosh, the Bengals had another Oakland Raider type of year. I can say that because that's my team. I don't care. I bash the Raiders, whatever it is what it is. We'll find out tomorrow if I have anything nice to say about them on the AFC West show. But as of right now, we're on the AFC North. Talk to us, man. You guys finished 4-12 last year, not the season you wanted. So many years of going one and done in the playoffs. I mean, talk about last year and kind of what you thought about the entire season as a whole.
Well, we won a few more games than 4.
Oh, that's right. 6-10. I'm sorry. 6-10. I'm so sorry.
Good. Cheat me already here.
I know. I was thinking of my terrible Raiders. I'm sorry.
You know, I know people are going to hate it. Yeah, some fans don't like the word. I've had people argue with me about it, but 2018, the one word that comes to mind is injuries. It was absolutely devastating. We actually had a
good, promising season, a surprise. Everything was clicking. I think the passing offense was 7 in the league. I know NFL.com power rankings, weeks 5 and 6, we were number 7. And then we fell to number 10 after the close loss to the Steelers. Now, that Steelers game, we were without Bernard, Eifert, Croft, Glasgow, Price, Ross. We had William Jackson III dinged up. We also had Bernard and Vigil hurt in game. We were already hurting, and it was a one-score game at the very end, which, by the way, Andy Dalton almost had another fourth-quarter comeback. So NFL.com had us ranked top 10 before all the injuries hit. Obviously, after that, wheels fell off. We lost A.J. Green. We lost Dalton. Football Outsiders, I don't look at the adjusted games lost metric that they track, but Bengals have been hit hard the past 2 years. After having 2015, 2016, we had a lot of luck. The rest of the guys in the division, I think the Ravens were number 1. The Browns and Steelers were both also top 10 in luck and injuries, and we have not had that same luck. But there were some bright spots. We had, Dalton's improvement. A lot of people looked at the 2015 season, but honestly, Dalton did more with less last year. So, offensive line has been a target for critics. Dalton still hung in the pocket. He led the division according to Pro Football Focus in pocket passing. Obviously, Mixon led the AFC in rushing. We saw some backups get some playing time that we needed. Tyler Boyd emerged. He's going to be a major threat alongside A.J. Green. And Jesse Bates had a huge season. In fact, even the defense that was maligned most of the year, once they fired Terrell Austin and Coach Lewis took over the defense, they improved. I think it was 30 to 50 games, or 30 to 50 yards a game average. They improved on defense. So there's a lot to look forward to, even though injuries just wiped out 2018.
Sadly, you guys just had a womp type of year, but you know what, man? You guys played well, to the best of your ability, and it was a rough year, lots of injuries, but you know what? You can't slight this team for being just a bunch of fighters. I mean, this team is just, the Bengals are one of those teams where you can count them out if you want to. I mean, I remember a couple of years ago, you guys kept the Ravens up. Remember with that one tackle keeping them from the first down? Remember that? Was that 2 years ago where the Bills went completely off? It was last year when the Bills were in the playoffs for the first time since '99. Yep. I mean,
2017. Yep, Andy to Tyler Boyd. Tyler Boyd broke their hearts. It was great.
That's the first down, man. I mean, there it is. So, I mean, that's right. So you guys are amazing. I mean, for that, but it is what it is. The poor Bengals have had some tough goes, but regardless, man, I mean, right now you guys have a big chance to turn things around. So let's go and talk about some free agency, if we will, and let's go ahead and get on in to this last past year in free agency. So, courtesy of the ESPN of ESPN.com, let's take a quick little look here. I mean, you guys re-signed Tyler Eifert, of course, which big man out of Notre Dame, numerous years now, but he's back. B.W. Webb at corner, you guys got him from the Giants. You guys have, of course, C.J. Uzomah, tight end. You guys have another. You guys in your tight end game is big. Andy Dalton loves his tight ends there, so big time players. Then Preston Brown, another player, which is brought back, linebacker there. Also Bobby Hart, right tackle, another guy who was right back with the Bengals, and John Miller, guard. I don't know actually where he's from, but they have him listed here. So with that said, go ahead and elaborate a little bit on those picks and what you think of those free agency pickups, and of course any other pickups that I may have missed.
Well, we also picked up John Jerry. There was some mumbling that Clint Bowling might end up hanging it up. We love him. Horrible that he had to retire this early, really, but he did what's best for him and his family. We really appreciate the effort he's given us all the years. He's been a fan favorite. So they did pick up John Jerry. Now, it hasn't been a sexy off-season. I would call the Bengals off-season the white New Balance of the NFL off-season. It's not sexy, but it's effective. You need them. So, B.W. Webb has gotten some rave reviews from the new DC, Aruma. So, he's experienced with him, but that the leadership, the intelligence, the football IQ is drawing a lot of raise. John Miller and John Jerry are both upgrades from what we have on that offensive line. Now, whether they're going to be starting, what exact position they're going to be starting, that's up in the air. Hopefully the best man wins in camp. But if you look at Pro Football Focus grades, both John Miller and John Jerry have rated higher than Alex Redmond, who was right guard last year. And we've got Westerman, obviously who isn't a free agency guy, but he's going to be given a shot at left guard. So it wasn't sexy, but with the injury to Jonah Williams, that offseason, those signings, those two offensive lineman signings are going to be huge.
And that's a big thing. You guys, I mean, at the end of the day, Andy Dalton has, hey, some people would argue, oh, well, his time is done or whatever, move on. But others will argue, no, he's actually a pretty good quarterback. He's got to freaking protect him. So, I mean, it's just one of those things where the big boys up front really do mean plenty. And, hey, re-signing the big guys or signing, the big boys up front are definitely that's kind of essential to an offense, just saying. So, let's go ahead and move on over now to the draft. Courtesy of ESPN.com here. First overall pick with the 11th overall pick in the draft game, the first round that is. Sorry for the confusion. Jonah Williams, offensive lineman out of Alabama. Yet another big boy, man. Bringing him in was absolutely awesome. This guy is, one of the premier linemen out of college football this year. Playing, pretty darn good all throughout the year. Played great at the Senior Bowl. And tough customer. Yes, he had his days where he wasn't, we all have our days is what it is, but not too shabby of a season. Looked pretty darn good there. Looks to probably be an immediate starter. Then you guys had a second round pick in Drew Sample, tight end out of Washington, yet another tight end. You guys, as I'm telling you, I don't know what it's like. It's like tight end central over there. I remember when you guys picked up Jermaine Gresham out of Oklahoma, a few years back. I mean, you guys, Tyler Eifert, you guys just, I don't know what it is. Tight ends over there. But Jermaine Pratt, outside linebacker out of NC State. Seems to be a pretty good player here. A guy that I absolutely thought was the best quarterback in the Senior Bowl. John Gruden loved him. Yeah, he had more Raider stickers on his helmet. This guy looked amazing. I liked him a lot. Some people may say he may just succeed. He will succeed him if he stays, but some people are thinking, or some people probably think that he could maybe overtake, which I don't think that's going to happen. I think Andy Dalton is the guy. But just me thinking, trying to throw some, just some juicy information out there, try and make something kind of happen. But I like this guy. Ryan Finley is a monster. He is oh my gosh, I loved watching him play in the Senior Bowl. Great quarterback out of NC State. Got him in the 4th round. Also, Renell Wren. This guy is another beast out of Arizona State. I'm a Pac-12 guy myself over here in Southern California. So this guy right here is a very good player out of Arizona State. Very tough defensive lineman. Then you have Michael Jordan, which is, not Michael Jordan, but Michael Jordan. Pretty good player here, center/guard out of Ohio State. Then we have here Trayvon Williams, running back out of Texas A&M. Got to see this guy run a lot this last past year for the Aggies. Gig him. He looked pretty darn good. Don't know how he fell so far back, but you got a good pickup there. Deshaun Davis, linebacker out of Auburn. Pretty good linebacker you guys got there. Rodney Anderson, running back out of Oklahoma. In the 6th round, and then 7th round, Jordan Brown, corner out of South Dakota State. Go Jacks. So, with that said, pretty good draft. I think I gave you like an A- or a B+. I actually thought it was I think I guys gave you a solid A because there's a lot of good pickups here. But overall, go ahead and recap the draft, Mr. Captain Obvious, and tell us, give us your grade for this year.
I like a B+. I would have loved to see them package some of the extra draft picks and move up more often in the draft to hopefully add some more offensive line depth. But you know what? I'm not psychic. I might be obvious. No one knew that Joe Williams was going to get hurt, so now it's easy to say. I know they were absolutely ridiculed for the pick of Drew Sample. Kind of came out of left field, but internally it sounds like that there were a lot of teams that had him high on the board, and Coach Zach Taylor wanted to make sure he got his guy. So Drew Sample has very underrated hands. He's going to be a key in the passing offense, but he was mainly brought in for his blocking ability. So that's going to be another addition to help out on an offensive line that a lot of the critics have questions about. We've got Pratt. Pratt's coverage skills, from what I read about, is going to help improve some of the problems that we've had with linebackers covering tight ends. So we should be able to hopefully solve that this season. Obviously, you talked about Wren. He's a beast. The most interesting battle that I see in camp is going to be Travion Williams and Rodney Anderson at running back. I think we're stacked at running back. I do not want to lose either of these guys. Travion Williams has already talked about having a chip on his shoulder. He's got something to prove. Rodney Anderson was Joe Mixon's boy at Oklahoma. They've already got chemistry. It's a 1-2 punch with them there. They get reunited here in Cincinnati. With Bernard and Mixon already in the fold, someone's going to get left out. Probably not going to be those two guys. Deshaun Davis, we've got a good history with Auburn, obviously, and War Eagle. My wife probably wants me to say that, so I'm going to say it. But she grew up down there, so he's going to help out the linebacking core. So I think a lot of people would say it's a tie between the offensive line and the linebacking core for weakest position groups. I think those linebackers are going to surprise some people, and then Zach Taylor's going to be able to find a scheme for the offensive line that are going to make a lot of fans happy. So draft grade B+, I think they addressed the needs that they needed to. Nobody was a real reach, and I think they're going to prove it this year.
I like it. You guys looked pretty darn good, man. I have an A because why? Like, why? What more does this team have to pick up? You know what I mean? Like, you guys look good. Like, I really thought that this was a pretty tough, group of guys you guys picked up, and I like that running back battle you brought up as well in camp. And I mean, you guys are starting just a few days. I really, really, really like what you guys got going, and just a very, the Bengals. You guys have had tough year and tough year and tough year. I mean, you guys have had so many tough years, but you know what? This year, just looking so, like a different type of team. It's really exciting to see the Bengals being able to, pick up players with lots of meaning instead of just players who you think are going to be good. You know what I mean? Does that make any sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Zach Taylor has talked about wanting to get hardworking, high-character guys. Those are exactly the guys he targeted, and he got them. So he got the guys that are going to fit into the system he wants to establish. The players are already buying in. Everything's clicking. I'm excited about it, and I'll tell you what, you sound excited too. We need to get you in the national media because some of those guys are a little bit more sour on the team, and they're going to see something this year that's just going to shock them.
Hey, well, you know what? Me as a current athlete, I mean, playing this game for a very long time now, for a good amount of time now. You know what? I'm all excited. I love the underdog teams. I love teams who are gonna, who are up and coming, and teams where maybe some people just want to be a little too tough on, and then you look at the talent level and you look at who's there, and you look at more, aspects of who's, the up-and-comers and guys who can really get in there and make a splash. Some people just are more willing to bash a team because they didn't do so good the year before than to try and pick them up with what they may have done in the offseason or the talent they may have acquired in the offseason. So I'm just saying, I'm more of the optimist, and I love it. So thank you for that. I appreciate you. So with that said, Captain Obvious, we are getting down to the end here. A few more minutes to go, maybe about 7 minutes the most, right around there. But hey, man, it's your time, and you know what time this is, man. It's time to stick it to them. I want you to tell me what you think about the rest of that. I'm telling you, hey, Karsten with the Browns, Matt Hames with the Steelers, and Mr. Chris Shizler with the Ravens all had their stuff to say about the Bengals. It wasn't all bad, but let's just say they all put you in the basement. Hey, man, now's your chance. I mean, you want to be realistic, you could be crazy, fantasy if you want to. They're all going to suck. I mean, whatever you want to do, man. All thoughts, comments, opinions, everything are their own here at iSports Radio, including the podcasters and the guests. So, hey, is what it is. Captain Obvious, it's your time, man. Give us records if you would like to. Give us a record for the Bengals also if you'd like to. That's totally up on you. You don't have to. I know some people are superstitious, and I understand that. But go ahead, man. AFC North, stick it to them.
Well, hate to be Captain Obvious, but this season is going to depend on the health of the team. I don't see the Bengals having the same problem 2 years in a row with injuries. We're going to bounce back. It's going to be a healthier season. I've got the Bengals at 10-6 win the division. I've got the Steelers at 9-7, second place. Ben is probably going to want to retire after this season. The Ravens have a running back behind center. They're looking at 8-8. And the Browns, the hype train on the Browns is so crazy. But I haven't seen them do anything in about 30 years. I have got to wait to see how they play on the field. They've got a diva quarterback. They've got a diva wide receiver. It's going to be an absolute battle in the North. But Cincinnati is the only team without all the drama. I'm picking them to win the North, 10-6. And it's not a reach. This is my factual, data-driven opinion. We've got it. Zach Taylor is a teacher. He's a leader. The players are buying in. They've already had the talent. They're all coming back healthier. And now we've got an offensive-minded, creative, aggressive head coach who is taking the time to teach players what they need to know in the game. We got it. To the bag.
I hit the applause button. I know you can't hear it, but my gosh, that was awesome. You know what? That's a true fan, y'all. True optimist. Knows that his team is up against the wall, coming off of a 6-10 season. He's going to flip that around and give him a 10-6. You know what, man? I love it. Ladies and gentlemen, Captain Obvious yet again. What an incredible... That was a lot of fun. And you know what? I love how you just, totally just discarded everybody else. You were like, you know what? No. Ravens, no, I'm sorry. Your quarterback is just too young. He's not there yet. No, you didn't say that, but I'm just saying, you know what I mean? That was it. Steelers, nah, not anymore. Your quarterback needs to retire. Browns, you're drama central. You're drama central right now. So guess what? Bengals are just going to leave you guys all to that and pass you right up on by. I mean, what a way to end the show, man. I love this. So with that said, man, so we're right at the end. But let's do this, man. Let's do this. Let's have some fun. And, hey, you know what? Let these fans know, where can they find you? I mean, where can they find you on social media? Twitter, of course. Anything else you may do, any type of websites you may run or whatever, or just a casual fan on, diehard fan that is, on Twitter. Where can these diehard Bengals fans find you, man? Hooday!
Hooday, yes. Instagram and Twitter, you can find me at Bengals Captain. And if you're lucky enough to be in the beautiful city of Cincinnati, come on down to Lot 1. Look for the Bengals Bomb Squad. You can't miss this one. The right-hand side of Lot 1. Big John, Hooday Baby, all the most famous Bengals fans you can find. Party with us. Come out and see us sometime. We'll show you a good time.
I'm loving it. Hey, man, if I'm ever out there in Cincinnati, I don't know, might be for a Raider game. That'd be pretty sweet. I mean, you know, man.
Hey, come on out. I'll hook you up with tickets. I've got 13 season tickets. I got you.
Oh my gosh! You know what? I just might have to go out there, Mr. Captain Obvious. I'm just saying, that is awesome. That is amazing. Well, I'll have to see when the Raiders are playing, man. That'd be sweet. But when the Raiders are playing, you guys. But hey, that's awesome. You guys are absolutely such a cool fan base, and I mean, I think all the teams are. So many great people in so many different fan bases, and that's what this show does, man. It brings everybody together because at the end of the day, a rivalry is whatever you want to say. Football is family. I mean, am I right?
Absolutely. I've met so many people. We've got friends over in London. We're going back to London to watch them play the Rams. We have lifelong friends we're going to see again. I've been to London in between the two games when they played 2016. We met up for dinner. You know, no other sport brings people together like the NFL, and I absolutely love it.
You and me both, and I definitely agree. So with that said, Captain Obvious, it has been great. Once again, y'all, Captain Obvious. Hey, go check out the Bengals Bomb Squad. I love it, man. Bengals Bomb Squad, man. Yeah, I like that. I like the sound of that. So, hey, man, thank you so much for your time today. I look forward to having you back on the show many, many more times. And, hey, man, thanks again for lending your time to us today. That was a really fun interview.
Thank you. I had a blast. And everybody, hooday.
That's what I'm talking about, man. Hey, have you a great rest of your week, man. God bless you and your family. We'll talk to you soon, man. Have you back on the show very soon.
All right, thank you.
Bye-bye. All right, bye. All right, y'all. Once again, Captain Obvious. Gotta show him some love, y'all. When we get back, we're taking ourselves a short break. When we get back, you will get the final analysis from Mike, Pat, and myself about the AFC North. You are listening to 3 and Out, 8 divisions in 8 days, right here, y'all. AFC Week, AFC North Edition, right here on IE Sports Radio, your directory for all that is sports. We'll be right back after this.
Attention, all sports fans! If you're someone who wakes up each morning with a list of sporting events to go along with your to-do list for the day, then you just might be a diehard. The world of sports is as vast as the ocean is deep, including the major leagues, the minor leagues, the college, and everything in between. This is me, your boy Larry B of IE Sports Radio, welcoming you to join me every Monday evening at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern on The Defining Moment, a show that focuses on what really matters in the sports world, sports themselves, and nothing outside of them. Once again, tune in for The Defining Moment with me, your boy Larry B, every Monday evening at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern on IE Sports Radio, right here on Spreaker.com. We'll see you there.
I told you we'd be right back. I took a brief moment here, y'all. So, with that said, we are all done with the AFC North, y'all. 4 teams down, 28 to go, and it is time for the final analysis. So, handing it on over to Mr. Mike Pat, the editor of the IE Sports Radio blog and member of the IE Sports Radio team, of course, the IE Sports Radio family, and of course, member of the IE Sports Radio 3 and Out team. Without further ado, Mike Pat! I got his recording right here, his audio clip. He's going to tell you what he thinks of the AFC North this season.
Hey everybody, Mike Pat here. So my opinions on the AFC North are as follows. Still one of the most competitive divisions that you've got in football. All of these teams are good in their own ways. I think it's going to be a very hard-nosed fight this year, especially more in years past, because Cleveland, who for years was kind of the, cellar-dweller team in the division, is now actually really competitive and kind of scary. So, here's how I think it'll play out. I've got Cincinnati in 4th. Nothing against the Bengals. There's actually a lot to like about their roster, but Andy Dalton, I'm still, over the years, not convinced in his ability to get the job done. Plus, they're already dealing with the injuries. They already lost Jonah Williams for the year to injury, and Clint Bowling just retired. So their offensive line, while it was looking good probably about a week ago or 2 weeks ago, is now a mess. So I've got Cincinnati coming in 4th. Just not enough to overcome some of the other star talent in the division. The other 3 could really go any direction. I've got Baltimore coming 3rd, taking a slight step back from last year. They'll still be in the hunt for the playoffs, but I just think, Lamar Jackson, unless he develops well as a passer, this team is going to be a little one-dimensional on offense. And defense, they did lose a couple of star players. They replaced them, but it's going to take time to see how everything kind of works together in Baltimore. So I've got them 3rd. I've got Pittsburgh 2nd, for a similar reason, star talent. The only difference is they have a much more established passer in Big Ben. Their offensive line's still really good. Good playmakers on the perimeter, proven guys. Defense isn't as good as Baltimore's, but still should get the job done. And I actually have Cleveland coming in 1st. Really, those top 3 could go anyway, but I think, you get Baker Mayfield another year to develop. Much better weapons than he had last year. Really good offensive line in front of him again, and the defense continues to add playmaker after playmaker. So overall, I think Cleveland has the best roster top to bottom, and I think that next step with Baker Mayfield is going to get them over the top. So Cleveland, Pittsburgh, Baltimore, Cincinnati, but like I said, those top 3 are interchangeable, and even the Bengals might surprise us and be a little bit more competitive despite some of their early injuries. So those are my feelings on the division. I think it's, like I said, really strong division. It could easily put 2 or 3 teams in the playoffs.
Alrighty, thank you very much, Mr. Mike Pat. Gotta give him a round of applause, man. Awesome stuff there, as always. And thank you, Mr. Mike Pat, for your input on the AFC North. Now, guys, this is hard for me, because especially I did not know they already lost Jonah Williams' injury, which is going to really put a damper on my thoughts on the Bengals. So I think mine's probably going to be, you'll see. I don't want to say carbon copy, but it's going to be probably going to be a carbon. Well, it is going to be a carbon copy. So basically, this is how I feel. The Bengals have every chance to get better, and they have every chance to improve. Will that be this year? they will improve as a team, I feel, but I still think they're going to be in the basement. I love it. Captain Obvious is definitely optimistic about his team. I think they're a great team. Why not be optimistic? I mean, hey, they're a tough team, and they have certainly lots in front of them. But as of right now, I mean, that draft, as I mentioned, was incredible. Their free agency, pretty good. There's a lot of re-signings, but the draft was awesome. And but I guess the loss of Jonah Williams is tough. I want to give them an 8-8 because seriously, I feel like the AFC North is going to be very competitive this year. Not too many, the majority of the teams will be over 500, and I want to give the Bengals a 500 look, but I think they're going to be right around 7-9, just because they're very. I mean, like if the bottom is 7-9, that says something about the division. Okay, so the Bengals, if they were in another division right now, could definitely be like a second or third place team. Maybe even a 9-7 in another division, but right now with the Browns being the team that they've turned into, with the Steelers being the team where we don't really know, like there's so many question marks on that freaking roster, it's not even funny. But it could really, that could be different. It could be a very interesting conversation for the Steelers as you heard myself and Matt Hames mention. And then you have the Baltimore Ravens, who shiny new quarterback, and this kid Lamar Jackson. I don't know. I like him. I think he can really lead this team. Defense is not necessarily revamped, but they're getting back to that defense of the Baltimore Ravens that we all know. So here's the deal, y'all. I'm gonna go 7-9 Bengals, and that's gonna be tough. But that goes to show you once again how tough this division is if the bottom is 7-9. Okay, next up, I am going to be right there with Mike Pat and say that it's going to be very close between the Ravens and the second place team. The Ravens have every chance to get better, but this year in that division where they beat each other down, I mean, I seriously think everyone's going to go win one. I really do. I don't think there's going to be a sweep in the entire division. I think the Bengals are going to win one against pretty much everybody. I don't know if they're going to get swept this year. I don't think anybody is. And that's one of the only divisions I think I can say this about. This and maybe the NFC South. But this year, I feel like the Ravens have a very talented team it's the NFL, everyone's talented, okay, but a little more talented than some other teams. The Ravens have every bit of strength to be a 9-7 team, but I'm going to put them right at 500. I just feel like give Lamar Jackson another year, give him a few more weapons. Honestly, they can really be a 9-7, 10-6 team, but as of right now, I got them at 500 at 8-8. Which, of course, leaves me with the champions. Yes, I am going with the Cleveland Browns to win it this year, which means the Steelers are just going to be a close second. I have them at a 9-7, 10-6 type of team. Right now, the Ravens, the Steelers just have it. Big Ben back there, he's doing his thing. Juju, as we talked about with Matt Hames, Juju is an absolute beast. This is a very talented roster, even though they did lose lots of talent. I just feel like, not tons of lots of talent, but they lost the star running back and the star wide receiver, but at the end of the day, they have plenty more where that came from. I do feel like, you can't necessarily replace a person 100%, or a player 100%, but they did a pretty dang good job of finding replacements, and I really like what the Steelers are doing, so I think they're going to be a 10-6 team, 9-7, 10-6 team, which means we're going to probably have some kind of a tiebreaker. I don't know exactly how tiebreakers work in the NFL, I think they're going to go 1-1 with each other. But I'm giving the Browns the heads up, or, if the Steelers go 9-7, cool. But I'm giving the Browns the 10-6, maybe 10-6, maybe 11-5. But I'm going to say, just without the tiebreaker, I'm actually going to give the Cleveland Browns an 11-5 record. I know that's insane, but hey, you know what? This team is amazing. They've come together. You're right. There's tons of drama on this team, but it also can come together. We don't know that yet. The talent level says this team can do it. I still think they're going to have their bumps, but my gosh, if this team can do it, they can really be a double-digit winning team, and I have this team going 11-5. So, crazy as can be. So I'm going to go ahead and recap that. My final records, I'm going to go Bengals 7-9, Ravens 8-8, Steelers at 10-6, and the Browns at 11-5. This is going to be a very fun season. I'm really looking forward to all these teams playing each other. I love it because I love saying this over and over because it's true. The AFC North is, I put it on Twitter, I say it every year, but the AFC North is the division where your offense must play defense in order to win games, because that's how nasty and how tough this division really is. So I know some of you are probably, rolling your eyes or upset at what I had to say, and myself, as well as Mike Pat. But hey, you know what? My bad. I mean, it is what it is. It's a realistic look from my opinions. You're going to hear what I got to say tomorrow about the AFC West. So anyway, with that said, y'all, we have made it through one show. Yes! One show down, 7 to go. One division down, 7 to go. 4 teams down, 28 to go. And we continue tomorrow with the AFC West. We got the Chiefs. We had a great interview yesterday with Mr. Reed Black. That was a fun interview. I also talked to Mr. Reed Black, of course, as I mentioned, Chiefs fan. We will be talking live to Miss Lori, myself, and the Phils, Phil Robinson and Phil Robinson III and Phil Jones will be talking Raiders, and of course Micah, a guy that I met through Miss Stephanie. Remember, go follow her. Go follow Miss Stephanie, Beauty and the Bolts for the Chargers. But awesome stuff there. And Mr. Michael will be joining us. Mr. Michael will be joining us to talk about the Chargers. But hey, y'all, with that said, that is it for me. Cue the music, cause we're out of here, y'all. Let's get this. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a fun season. It's gonna be a fun season, y'all. That will do it for the AFC North this season in the Season 6 premiere of 3 and Out, 8 divisions in 8 days. AFC Week has officially begun, y'all. AFC North down, AFC West, AFC East, and AFC South to go. Here we go, y'all. Full speed ahead to the next episode tomorrow. I'll see you at 11 a.m. Pacific Time, 2 p.m. Eastern Time. We will see you then. Until then, y'all, take care. And as always, God bless.